Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're back for the Virtual World Sports Car Championship Round 5 from Le Mans. It is 2.4 hours of racing here, and what more can we say? It is the 1964 Le Mans layout, no chicane, straight run all the way through. It's going to be amazing. I am James Barber, going to be joined in the booth by Bradley Dalton once more, and yes, the bug in my ear is back again, Mr. Paul Glover. He will be on the cameras for me. So, Stacey, well, we're going to hear voices once more, but it's going to be absolutely amazing. Let's take a look at the calendar here this evening. Or this afternoon, I should say, as we have done Daytona, we've done Sebring, we've done Targa Florio, and now it is Spa-Francorchamps. We've done that one as well, and now it is Le Mans. 2.4 hours of Le Mans for round 5. Round 6, we are off to Reims on the 6th of July, so quite a long break between the two. Coppa Carotti Hill Climb on the 27th of July. Coppa Diana on the 10th of August. Goodwood on the 17th of August. Nürburgring on the 5th of October. So quite a long break between August and October there. Monza on the 26th, then Bridgehampton on the 16th, then Provence Alps Hill Climb on the 30th, then Paris for the 100 minutes for the season finale down there on the 7th of December. The track itself, wow, if you've never seen it, it is going to be absolutely incredible. 8.37 miles, 13.46 kilometers, and it is the 1956 to 1964 layout. Dunlop, the S's, Tetra Rouge, down the Mulsanne Straight, through the kink on the right hand side for turn 6, and then we go into turn 7, which is Mulsanne. Coppa de Golf for 8, Indianapolis for 9th, Arnage for 12, Coppa de Busan for 13 and 14, and then Maison Blanche for the final little kink towards the end for 16 and 17. Challenges here this evening, well, it's going to be very, very, very interesting on that front. They've got to use the draft. The draft is going to be massive. It is going to make or break you whether or not you're going to be in touch with the leaders. Don't miss the braking zones. As you can see on your screen, it is going to get dark. So easily done. Survive the start, survive the night, and survive the weather. That's what they've got to do here this evening. So let's see how they get on with that one. Strategy corner, Div 1 and Div 2. Long straights need top speed, avoid hits, manage fuel. Well, let's see how they all get on. Fuel is about 30 to 40 minutes. They will be making 2 to 3 stops. Car to beat are the Porsche 904 and the Alfa Romeo Giulia in Div 1 and Div 2. Moving on into Div 3, of course, it will be the 40 to 55 minutes of fuel, 1 to 3 stops. Now, I know that's very varied, but we'll see how they get on here as well. If anybody are going to try fuel saving, you might get 2, but you know, if they're going to go full flat, right, you're going to get 3. Cars to beat will be the Corvette Stingray and the Shelby Daytona. In the point standings at the moment, we'll start off with the Div 3 standings. It is Magnus Dahlgren out in front on 25.5 points, with JT Tammy on 22. Then we've got Bradley Sellers sitting in third, with Nicholas Kirstens in fourth, Ross Smith fifth, Timon Suvic in sixth, and Alexander Schultz in seventh, Woover de Bruin in eighth, and Ethan Funk in ninth. Then you've got Brian Hall, Kyle Investor, Jason Whitehead, Mike Bell, Angus Tong, Dave Cause, Tom Lane, Nicholas Hildebrand, and Miguel Ramos. In the team standings, Emmy Racing are in front on 42.5, with Rookie Monsters in second, Smile Power in third, Scudiera BWOT in fourth, and then Storm Rider Racing in fifth place. In the Div 3 AMS, it is Jerry Chen out in front on 37.8, with George Angelidis in second, Barry DeMalzo in third, John Mayer in fourth, Yaroslav Zakic in fifth, Peter Meyer in sixth, and Tom Mountjoy there in seventh. Them two yet to score points. In the teams, it's Flying Kiwi Racing out in front of John Mayer and Jerry Chen, and Scudiera Cavelli in the Ferrari 250 with Barry DeMarzo and George Angelidis. In the Div 1, Div 2 Pros, there's quite a lot of them, I'm not going to lie, and it is led by Alko Busanic at the moment on 19.9, Cameron Barker in second, with Dan Herlock in third, and Becky Ely in fourth. Dan Kirby down in fifth, which may surprise some people, with Ben Borman, David Jean, Darren Andrews, Oliver Day, Diego Castro, Alfredo Cabrera, Scar Pope, Alexander Nekoroshkov, Alexi Zagar. Oh my God. Zagaragnev, Craig Pullen, then we got Reese Gardner, John Uyan, Gilles Lalonde, Tigran McIntyre, Oliver Newman, Nikita Smirnov, Declan Grady, Matthew Overton, Oli Cargelanti, Luke Tavanari, Neil Wood, Tony McCoffin, and Robert Strachan. In the team, CMS Pro in front in the Alpha, with Fatigo Monsters in second, Joy Motorsport in third, Mike Bell Motorsport in fourth, Alpha Australis in fifth, then Lufthansa Porsche in sixth, Cyberlinks in eighth. Not quite sure where seven's gone. With Associate Automobile in ninth, Black Knight in 10th, Gasco Links in 11th, and Cure Bear in 12th place. In the 1-2 AMS, it is Eric Monet out in front on 27.4 points. Adam Gray in second on 20.299999 recurring till you get to the 7. James Bowders in third, with Santiago Dancourt in fourth. Luke Goodlife in fifth. Tom Mountjoy in sixth. Fernando Ferreira in seventh. Pavel Shenaborov in eighth. Mateus Bogle ninth. Felipe Marazzi, Stephen Miller, Philip Ducardi, and Mateo Treshev. In the team standing, Mistral Targa out in front, with Reptile Racing in second, and Gasolinks Racing Porsche in third place. And that is it from me. I've spoken for ages. Let's bring Brad into the booth. Brad, hello mate, how are you?
Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. James, I'm doing pretty well. It's Le Mans. We're hitting the fun times of the endurance racing season, where you get Le Mans, you get some of the big historics. I've done like 5 Spa broadcasts in the past month, so I'd like to think that we're going to Le Mans, and you know, this is a track for me that I'm expecting good racing from. I'm expecting action from. Of course, the last few rounds of historic have been pretty wild, and I have a feeling that Le Mans is going to give us nothing less than excitement for 2.4 hours.
Yeah, I think you are right. This is just going to be absolutely insane. Now, in this 1964 real-life Le Mans, it was actually won in a Ferrari 275P, apparently, with the team of Georges Guichet and Nino Vaccarella. Now, that was the original IRL winners of this one here, Brad. But who do we think is going to win this one of the CMS 1964 Le Mans?
I don't have a good answer for you. That's the thing. I don't really know who to expect to win. I don't want to say a car. I don't want to say a name, because I don't know if I'm gonna be right or not. It's going to be fairly evenly matched all the way through, I think. That's the thing. I think a little bit of it is going to be luck. A little bit of it goes back to those survivals. Keys to the race that we talked about. Surviving the start, the night, any weather that comes in. Not missing your braking zone is going to be a big one. So I think it's just going to be whoever can keep their head together for 2.4 hours is really, really going to be who wins it at the end.
And ladies and gentlemen, and that is how you commentate and sit on the fence and get splinters in your bottom. So there we go. Mr. Reese, welcome into YouTube chat as well. Stacey, thanks so much as always joining us. Much appreciated. I know who to expect to win. The Shelbys were already by far the best on the straight, and they got a BOP to be even better now. God knows why. Well, hey, look, we just commentate on it. That's got nothing to do with us whatsoever, Mr. Reese. So you're going to have to sit back and just enjoy the epic racing. Qualifying is coming to the end here. So we will be going into that 10-minute warm-up where I'm sure Mr. Ross Smith will join us once more, where he's not going to tell me nothing about next season. Even if I couldn't, I'll try and trick him. Should we do it that way and see if he budges? But I could tell you what, he has jumped in a little bit. So, Mr. Smith, how are you?
Good evening. How's it going?
I'm fine. Listen, a little challenge for you.
Yes, I'm ready.
If I get you to say the number 17, you've got to tell me what season is next season.
I have to say the number 1 with the 7 after it.
No, you have to say the whole number 17, but I haven't started yet. All right.
Oh, okay.
All right. So if I get you to say 17,
Okay.
then you've got to tell me what the year is for next season. How about that?
That I guess sure. I will.
Okay.
I will do that.
All right. What's 2 plus 2?
Hold on. 4. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on,
What's
get
4?
the calculator up.
What's 4 plus 4?
That's 8.
Okay. What's 8 plus 8?
That's 16.
See, told you I'd get you to say it.
What? 16?
Yeah, I told you I'd get you to say the number I wanted you to, right?
Yeah, you did. And then
I did that on my wife earlier, and nearly. I did it on my wife earlier, and I said to her, "See, I told you I'd get you to say it." She went, "No, you said I had to say 17." I said, "See, there you go, darling." She went, "Oh, you." Well, I won't use the expletive that she called me, but you know, what I mean, it went on her. Anyway, Mr. Smith, how are you? Welcome in, buddy.
I'm good, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a beautiful day. Looks like it's a beautiful day in France as well. Although it's a little bit of overcast, a little bit of chance for some wet, but probably not too much.
Let's see. Anyway, as the grid is appeared on your screen, Bradley Sellers is in first with Ross Smith in second. Tom Lane in third with Wout de Bruin in fourth. Even funky fifth by Bussett, Kirsten's Vesser. Anyway, we'll let that grid carry on. Ross, what are we expecting from you today? Come on.
For me, I'm gonna drive my little heart out. We're working with Wouter here, my teammate, who's back and forth. He did a great job coming up there just at the end. Just couldn't quite put it up on Bradley. He got a really good run. I think he had some slipstream he was able to manage there with Ethan. And Ethan wasn't able to take advantage on that one for himself. But everyone in that top 5-6 category is going to be really fast. I know that I think Tom Lane has to serve a penalty, I want to say. But outside of that, everyone else is there is pretty much, at least in the Shelbys, is it's going to be quick. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to strategy.
Now, I want to talk about that, right? Mr. Reese, I know listen, this is what he said. I know who to expect to win. The Shelbys were already by far the best on the straight, and they got a BOP to be even better. Tell us about the BOP, Mr. Smith.
So we'll start there, yeah. So we were finding that with the way that the layout is between the 3 cars, basically the Shelby is supposed to be quite rapid, but a small tank. The Ferrari is fairly balanced. It's a little bit slower at the top end, but better in the corners. Also has quite a bit more tank. I think it's like 135 liters or something like that. And then the Corvette is supposed to be pretty confident at the top end, a little bit more of a bulwark to try and work with, and it has fuel for days, so it can just keep going and going. And we're finding that the discrepancies with the pit times and like the way that the cars would kind of work their tires or maybe progress over multiple stints, the Shelby just wasn't quite as competent because there just wasn't any fuel strategy. You just had to be full out, and if you weren't maximizing your pace, you couldn't save enough fuel to be able to try and do something with that. You just weren't within that threshold. So basically what happened was the weight remained the same, the fuel capacity was increased, and that puts it a little bit more on par. It's still only at 108, went from 90 to 108 liters, so it wasn't a ton, but it certainly is enough to really help with the Shelby to get it up there. We're still going to have to take 2 stops. It's going to be 1 stop for full fuel, and then another one for about half a tank, and then you're going to see the Ferraris probably fuel save a little bit to try and do it on 1 stop and avoid that extra like 30-40 seconds in the pit. And well, I guess for them it would only be like a splash, really. So, but you know, they would maximize their time. They'd be able to stay at full throttle, which you want to do here. And the Corvette's gonna basically just do a 1-stop easy. It should only have to fill up like, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a tank, something around that, especially if it's able to slipstream. So, so a lot of maths going on. There's a lot of testing in the background to work out what the seconds should be between different cars. Now, Le Mans, of course, being Le Mans, it is a bit special. So you're going to see probably the Shelbys are going to be very strong. The Ferraris are going to struggle. We kind of knew that even before the BOP. The big question is going to be what's going to happen with the Corvette there, at least within the Div 3s, because the JT actually won the sister race, the 1.2 hours on Tuesday for MNRL. And he did it by a decent margin. You know, it was about 6 or 7 seconds, and it was a good race. So I think as far as the BOP for the top end goes, it's about in the sweet spot. But we'll see how it turns out. He has a penalty, I think, maybe to serve today, so it might take him out of contention.
Yeah, JT Tammy's got a stop and hold with a non-quali and from 15 seconds, apparently, for Tyler Florio. There's some interesting penalties there as well. Our very own Mr. Angelides has got a stop and hold for 10 seconds for being naughty in Spa. You know, tell us then, what do we see from you? Where are we? Are you going out thinking, I can win this? I'm gonna win this.
Well, that's every race, but here particularly, I think we're about as well seated as we were at Daytona, where we've got a good shot at taking this to the end. If we play it smart, we've worked out strategies that we can try and take to the end. If we stick to plans and things go our way, we can be in a really good position to take some podiums away from this.
Tell us on the team situation. Now, I'm aware of Tom Mountjoy is sharing a car with Graham Duncombe. I haven't seen many other come out and say that they're in a team. Are they the only one that are sharing?
Yeah, for the historics, we haven't traditionally done sharing just because we haven't had overwhelming numbers to do that. It's been more of a modern series kind of thing where we do that. But in this case, it was more for technical reasons why they were deciding to go that route. So it's allowed. They're going to go ahead and do that, and they should have fun with it. And we wish them the best. And hopefully we don't have any situations where the Div 3s come upon them. You're going to see that a lot as we get later into the race and Div 1s and 2s are starting to stop, and then they're going to come out into the rest of the traffic. And Div 3s, the closing rates here are phenomenally quick, and both the 3s and the 1-2s are going to have a hard time being stable on the straights. You're going to see some close situations. Drivers have to be committed to different lines well ahead of time. So if they're not, that's when you're going to see trouble. You're going to see cars flying off into the woods and races ending.
Okay, well, that's going to make it very interesting. Obviously, we had a chat on Thursday about everything that was going on within the mod. Is there anything remotely happened over the last couple of days that you're going to sit and inform me with, Mr. Smith?
Just some technical things, mostly in the background. I mean, progress is still going on. We're still looking to do the GT pack version of the WSC 2023. Probably here before Le Mans. Hopefully we can get a little bit more work into the hypercars before that, but that's at least the plan right now. So we should see that in the Steam workshop for everyone to enjoy, and then we'll have the hypercars hopefully not too far after that, and we'll continue to make improvements to all the cars in the mod as we get ready for next year. For the new cars coming in, we're going to have about 5 of those, maybe 6 in the modern stuff, and like we mentioned before, they're going to be 5 for the new historic mod that we're going to be putting out. And progress is still being made there. We only have the last car to basically get wrapped up, and then testing can really go into full swing.
And the 1964 mod, is that available in the Steam Workshop already?
It is not, but it will be at the end of the season. There are some graphical tweaks we got to do. We might do some very minor BOP, which would just be course for the season as we go through CMS. But once all of that is kind of consolidated down and we're able to make those updates within the mod itself, then it will go right out and everyone can enjoy it.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to that one there as well. I did take a car for a spin, not very successfully, but there we go. What did we think about Le Mans in general? How, we've got you up there, Brad Sellers is up there. Do we think qualifying is going to be vitally important here, or do you think at some circuits where we sit back and go, you need to be on pole? Do we need to be on pole for Le Mans?
You don't have to for your chances by the end of the race. However, the start, it is helpful to be further up because for the first time in the season here, we're going to be doing a standing start, traditional Le Mans start with the angled grid. And it will, if you're up at the front, fewer cars that you're going to have around you, hopefully, if you get a good launch. And you want to have that. You want to have that clear space, because if you're back in the pack, good luck to you, man. Because you'll see a couple scrapes, bumps and bruises. Shouldn't be anything too bad. MNRL did it Tuesday without any issue. I mean, just a couple dings here or there, but nothing major, nothing upsetting for the race, and it was good to go. So hopefully the same thing here, and it can be very exciting for everyone.
So did we get the video feeds of the drivers running through the kitchens to the rigs?
It's unfortunate. It looks like there was some kind of issue with Twitch. They didn't, we couldn't get them all streaming right, but we'll try it again maybe next year if we.
Rubbish.
But yeah.
You only had to set up a feed, Ross. You didn't have to go through all that dramatics there as well. I'd love to see Ross Smith hurtling through his kitchen. I'm on my way. God, that would have been funny. I gotta be honest, that would have been absolutely hilarious. Well, listen, it sounds like we're exciting stuff's happening, and I'm still none the wiser for next season, even though I tried me trick that apparently can work on everybody else, but Ross is not normal, so he got it right there as well. Ross, have a good race, dear sir. Thank you so much for joining us as always, and we look forward to maybe having a chat with you in about 2 hours and 40 minutes to see if you're on the podium.
I would love it. I hope we can make it exciting for you, and maybe not too exciting. And
I'll tell you what, mate, if it's anything like NAS on Thursday, I think I would probably need a defib by the end of that.
Well, it's I can tell you on Tuesday, there were plenty of close racing strategies going through that just made it a whole lot of fun all the way through to the end. So we're thinking probably more of the same. Oh, and I want to say shout out to my team. We're running our Le Mans livery specials, and for mine, I have the hundreds Marlboro pack on here because. Coming up towards the end of the season here in the next 6-7 races, I want to say, it will be my 100th race. And this is actually the 100th, Goodwood will be the 100th for VWC as a series.
Nice. Well, I look forward to that. I just had a look around your car. It looks very nice, by the way. So, well done to you.
Looks better in the sunshine, I will say that. Unfortunately, it's great.
Yeah. What's the chances of rain just before we go?
Fairly minimal. We might get some sprinkles, but at this point it's looking like it's kind of died off and won't come back again until probably late tonight.
Okay. Well, Mr. Smith, thank you so much for joining us as always, buddy. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll see how you get on in the race.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you guys, to you and Bradley and Paul, of course, who's running the beautiful feed. We look forward to watching it back.
Awesome stuff. Ross, take care, buddy. Have a good one.
Thanks.
So there we go, guys. That was Mr. Ross Smith there as well. Nathaniel, thank you so much for joining us in the YouTube chat as well. We'll give you a brief rundown of penalties, and there are quite a few of them. Ollie Cargelati has got to stop and hold for 15 seconds from Sebring. Oliver Newman stopping a hold for 50 seconds from Tiger Floria. JT Tammy stop and go, no quality for 15 seconds. Santiago Dancourt has got to stop and hold for 25. He's also on a free race probation, so he's got to be careful. Neil Wood has got to stop and hold for 15. Nicholas Kirsten's stern warning for Spa. George Angelidis has got to stop and hold for 10 seconds. Luca Tavanari has got to stop and hold for 10 seconds. Nicholas Kirsten's has actually got to stop and hold for 55 seconds there for an instance at Spa. Jason Whitehead stop and hold for 10. Tom Lane stop and hold for 15. So there's going to be a lot of people here, Brad, venturing into the pits, I should have thought, right at the beginning.
Yeah, I think your best option if you're any of those drivers that have a stop and hold, especially if you're someone like Nicholas Kirsten who has a 55-second stop and hold, just get it out of the way early. Get it out of the way and just go ahead and bite the bullet. You're going to be off the pace slightly. You're going to be out of the mix a little bit, but you can make that up across a 2.4-hour race. This isn't like a 60-minute race or 2 laps of a track. This is 2.4 hours. You've got plenty of time to go. So I would just go ahead and get your penalty out of the way early. Maybe even, you might want to wait and serve it at the first pit stop, but I would just get it out of the way as soon as possible.
Yeah, I agree with you because of the fact that the lap times are going to be 3.5 minutes. You're not losing a massive amount to do the opening lap and then dive into the pits. Get it out of the way. I think that's the best way for anybody that's got any form of penalty. I am a little bit worried, though, that the pit lane's going to get quite busy if everybody that is having a penalty is here. And I'm trying to see who is actually here as well. Maybe we can get some information on that in the background up there. Maybe Paul can work his magic and tell us who we've got. Oliver Day. Nope. Ollie Newman is here, so he's got one. I think JT is here. Santiago Dancourt, is he here? Yes. So he's going to be in for a long time. Neil Wood. Let's have a quick look. No Neil Wood. Nicholas Kirstens. Yes, he's here, so he's going to be in there as well. Obviously, George. I expect George to be here somewhere, but then again, George wasn't in Niles on Thursday, so is he here at the moment? Yes. Luca Tavanari. Let's have just a quick bear with us, guys, as well, as this has been jumping around this entry list all day. He's not here either. Jason Whitehead. Is he? Tom Lane's definitely here and Jason's here. So there's going to be quite a few venturing into the pit lane here right at the beginning. So it could get quite chaotic. Not only do we have not the run to the race car start that, I would so much love to watch. We've got obviously, the slanted car start where they did run across. And obviously we've just been notified that obviously the penalties have got to be, served in the first 3 laps, so that's going to be something that they're all going to be looking out for. Personally, I would just go in and get it over and done with. Literally go in, first lap, dive into the pits, Brad, and get it done. But how chaotic is the start going to be with the slanted cars on the grid?
Yeah, and the thing is, the start is just go. There's no formation, there's no warm-up. It is literally get in and go as soon as the green flag drops. So judging by what we just saw coming out of the warm-up in the pit lane and seeing a few people careen into each other just coming out of the warm-up and getting into their grid boxes, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now this race start will be nothing but pure chaos. It's going to be an absolute mess, and I'm kind of okay with it. I like that traditional Le Mans style start. It's going to... We're at Le Mans. Why would you not do it? Let's leave it at that.
Can you imagine the feed, though, that we would have had if, Ross was running through his kitchen to literally get to his sim rig? That would be absolutely amazing. I'd love to have seen that.
I'm a little upset that we didn't get that. Ross. I think Ross's penalty for not giving us a feed of him running into his rig to get going should be that Ross has to tell us what the cars are going to be next year. So that is my penalty. I have a gavel in my hand that I'm banging in the air. You can't see it, but yeah. So penalty for Ross. Tell me what's going on next year. Bang, bang. There we go.
Well, let's have a look through the grid. You've seen it a couple of times pop up, but let's actually read it through here. It will be one Mr. Bradley Sellers on pole with Ross Smith in second, Tom Lane in third, and Woodward Bruin in fourth. All Daytonas on the first two rows. Moving on from there, we're going to have Ethan Funk, Mike Bell, Nicholas Kirstens, and Carl Vesser will be the top eight. As we go into the next set of cars here, we're going to be looking at JT Tammy, who's obviously got the penalty. Jason Whitehead's got a penalty. Timon Suvic, Magnus Dahlgren will be rounding out the top 12 in the Ferrari. And then on from that, Jerry Chen, Brian Hall, John Mayer, and George Angelidis down in 16. Again, another one that's got a penalty here as well. Moving on to the next row. 17 is Dave Coors in the Ferrari with Barry DiMarzio, Tony McCoffin, and Becky Ely down in the Lotus 23B Ford. Going on from that one, it's Elko Busanic, Eduardo Benico, Daniel Herlock, and Oliver Day rounding out the top 24. Going into the back end, we've got Reese Gardner in 25th, John Uyan in 26th, then Yukitaka Nashi in 27th, and then Diego Castro in 28th place. Down in 29th is Eric Monet with David Junt right next to him there. Adam Gray and Oliver Newman. Of course, we're aware Oliver's got a penalty to go and serve as well. Sensibly, do it on the first lap. Get it over and done with. Going on to the next set, Matthew Overton, Tom Mountjoy, Fernando Ferreira, and Filippo Marazzi rounding out the Scar Pope. James Bowders, Jarek Zakic, and Peter Meyer round out the top 40. Then on from that one, it's still going, guys. It's still going. We've got Alfredo Cabrera, Joe Rollon, Craig Pullen, and Oscar Dancourt. I wonder if he's related to Santiago. I wonder if that's the family member in that 44th. And then, there's Santiago in 45th place. So there we go. Becky did make it. Yay, go Becky. Yeah, she's made it. So clearly feeling a little bit better than she was the other day. 45 cars. Slanted start, chaotic. Turn one through Dunlop and up through the S's. Can it really settle down by then, or do we think as we're going down the Mulsanne for the first time, it should settle down a little bit?
Yeah, no, it's not going to settle down, I think, until we hit the kink. I think it's going to take it that long, if not even towards Indianapolis, for things to really, really be exciting. I think the whole first 3/4 of lap one are going to be close, competitive. I wouldn't walk away for at least the first lap. If you decide you have to use the bathroom or something, I would sit through lap one.
Very, very interesting analogy, Mr. Bradley, to be honest. Don't go anywhere. Why would you want to? Come on, let's be real. You can listen to me and Brad on a Saturday afternoon having conversations with a voice in our head. How many kittens are you going to have with this start? I'll tell you what, if you have not gone back and watched the NAS from Thursday, it doesn't matter what channel, go CMS, JPB, it doesn't really matter. The first GTP going through the GT3s, literally, I had a litter. I didn't have kittens. I literally had a litter. It was absolutely insane. It was by far, and I've broadcasted thousands, I think, of races, got to be by now. That was one of the best ones I've ever done. It was literally insane. There are YouTube shorts available on the JPB YouTube channel of some of the moves taken by Alec King on Thursday. Go and watch them if you don't want to watch the whole race. They were just, oh my God, it was defying all racecraft analogy that you've ever been given within a sim racing game, Brad. It was literally insane.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. I did go back and I didn't catch it live, but I did go back and watch some of it, and it was exciting. I enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that we get the same result out of this. And then obviously the moderns will have the 4.8 hours coming up not too far from now. So I'm hoping that Le Mans continues to deliver.
Okay, well, here we go. Sit back, hold on to your hats. And they are away. 45 cars have gone onto the grid. You can see them all there. Some are 3 wide further back. Some are 2 wide coming in to the opening corners. But it is Bradley Sellers is leading us away. Ross Smith looks like he's lost a position right at the beginning here. And unfortunately for Smith, he's down in 3rd place. Mike Bell in 4th. All of these cars come streaming towards the S's section. The left right here again. And I can tell you what, Brad, at the moment, there's been no real dramas, I don't think. I'm just going to have a quick look and check on that one. But it looks like not bad field getting away cleanly.
Yeah, I didn't catch anything on my side either trying to look through. But what I have caught, the top 6 are all Shelby Daytonas. So keep your eyes through because the top 6 are all Shelby. And everyone knows the Shelby and Le Mans goes very, very well together, as we'll watch through. Your first Ferrari is in P9 as we go through, but as they run down here, down the Mussel straight, it's just Shelby runs all the way through. Look up front, Bradley Sellers and Tom Lane there. The Shelbys going side by side with each other, keeping some action, and just look at how long this straight is. I mean, it's just pure, just run the car out to the top RPM and rag it all the way down. You don't have to worry about brakes. There's no chicanes through. The fun of the historic is that it is just flat to the floor this entire time.
Yeah, and they're topping north of 305 kilometers an hour here as well as they're going around the Mulsanne Keek down into Mulsanne. Who's going to be able to put it on the brakes? I think we've lost Neil Wood here this evening before the start. David Shunt has got issues with the Alpha. It's just absolutely terrible, we said, as it's Tom Lane and Brad Sellers going to be coming side by side through the Mulsanne here. Who's going to come out in front? It is going to be Tom Lane's going to manage to hold on. Bradley Sellers just did not get that inside there, Brad. And now he's still in 1st place there with Tom Lane. Bradley Sellers 2nd, Ross Smith in the 3rd.
A minute 20 seconds to get out of Rouge down into Mulsanne. That is crazy. Here's a quick replay going on. And this is going to be what happened to George Angelidis, if anything.
Yeah, he misses the Mulsanne corner. He misses the Mulsanne corner at turn 7 and ends up putting it into the barrier, does George Angelidis, unfortunately, on that one. I can tell you now, Tony McCoffin had a big old moment right at the beginning with Oliver Day there. Eduardo Bonica also had a bit of a scary moment at the beginning once more, but other than that, no real dramas. George Angelidis down here at 17th at the moment. He is trying to close down on Dave Kors. He's got Becky Ely in 18th place. She's trying to shut him down on 5.8 seconds at the moment. Another battle is Ely and Herlock going on down in the Div 1 and Div 2. That's down to literally 1 point. Well, it's not even that now, 0.29. It looks Becky Ely in that Lotus. It does get a little bit squirrely there. Then we've got Dan Herlock, of course, in that Alfa Romeo Giulia. On your screen at the moment is Mr. Tom Lane as he's leading the field. Bradley Sellers in 2nd. 2 hours and 20 minutes remaining of this race. Let's see how they all get on, Brad.
Yeah, and look at the way the Shelby has to slide there through Indianapolis and Arnage. This is the fun for me of these cars. It's just you got to manhandle them. For lack of better phrase, you've got to manhandle them through. And now we're through the pit straight. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering how long a lap of historic Le Mans is, it's just about 4 minutes long on lap 1. And here we go. That's a big moment at the start.
Yeah, that was Tony McCoffin and Oliver Day. Scott Pope also ended up being very slow. Fernando Ferreira and John Meyer. So there was a lot of cars involved in that slow moment there from Tony McCoffin that happened right at the beginning. I can tell you now as well, we've got John Mayer in the replay. He misses the Mulsanne corner and ends up into... Well, there's George Angelidis. That is George. And what happened to George? Completely missed the Mulsanne corner and literally just ended up going straight on and then sliding into that barrier. I can tell you now, Dan Herlock has cleared Becky Ely for the lead in the Div 1, Div 2. Up front, Tom Lane is literally side by side at the moment with Bradley Sellers as they're running down the Mulsanne. Sellers has just got through, believe it or not, on Tom Lane. So Tom Lane has cleared there. DeMarzo and Chen, they're still battling it out in the Div 3s. There's a lot of action going on all the way through the lead of each class. The only one that hasn't is Div 1, Div 2 AMS with Eric Monet and Mountjoy. They're 2.8 seconds. So battles all the way through here as well. Sellers through the kink they go, down into Mulsanne with Tom Lane right behind them, up over the hill. They're going to be dropping down to Mulsanne at literally 306 kilometers an hour. They are braking so far back. It is literally insane, and Tom Lane's just made that move through Mulsanne once again.
Yeah, I want to mention Oliver Day, because Oliver Day's mom was in YouTube chat asking where her baby was, and then we showed Oliver Day spinning out. So good news is, Mama Day, 2 hours and 18 minutes left to go in this race. Plenty of time left to go. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, these cars are going to stick together. That draft is so powerful here. I'm going to tell you right now that just watching through, I mean, it's going to be pack racing the entire time. James, I hope you've had plenty of coffee or a Red Bull, whatever you might drink, because there is going to be a lot of action that we have to keep up with top to bottom. These guys are just going to be in packs and packs and packs. Look at the bottom right there. That is your lead of the race overall in the bottom right corner. Tom Lane, Bradley Sellers, they swap places once, they swap places twice, they swap them a third time. It's just going to be back and forth the entire time unless one of them makes a mistake and gives the other one more of a gap. They're going to need over a second at least. But look at that. Somebody sliding through. I want to say that was Smith possibly sliding through on his brakes.
Yeah, Olko Busanic was also, he slid through Mulsanne. He was in that big pack with obviously Becky Ely and that kind of thing as well. So we believe we've lost our first person here. Brian Hall, we think, has had a moment as a DNF as well. So we can see if we can have a look back at that one with Brian Hall and what he did here. Oh, he completely missed the kink going round Indianapolis. He ripped the wheel off his car, and lucky enough, everybody else avoided him. This is what's going to happen on your screen right now. He's right in the pit lane. You'll see him come over the hill. He just misses the kink, like literally on the run into Indianapolis, misses the kink, and it ends up in the wall. And and then tyre comes off, and then it all just does not go well for Mr. Brian Hall. First DNF of the evening here, Brad. Not the only one, I don't think.
Yeah, 45 cars started. How many cars finished is the question. And when you consider the way the Shelbys are having to drive, I mean, look at them. They're literally having to drift over the corners through the S's, through Rouge. I mean, they're literally having to slide these cars out just to keep them together. Look at that. So if you consider that they've got to keep that up for 2 hours and 24 minutes, just one small error is going to be a problem. Becky Ely in the car that I will always be judged that I don't like it as much, the Lotus 23B, is opening up a gap here that you can see on the main screen down in the bottom right. We're keeping our eyes on Tom Lane and Bradley Sellers. But look at this. Becky Ely's starting to open up a gap and kind of run away. Very, very happy to see Becky here. And then Herlock and Reese Gardner fighting down the pit straight. Look at this battle. They're saying the Alpha was hard to handle, but I mean, they're making it look pretty easy right here for P2.
Yeah, they are at the moment. They're on the run round Dunlop, and then they're going to be going into the S's, the left-hander of Dan Ernon and Reese Gardner. We've lost Matthew Overton as well. He has unfortunately DNF'd. I've got a funny feeling that's coming down into Mulsanne. It is. He misses it completely, ends up practically on top of another car going down into Mulsanne there for Matthew Overton, and then that is a job done for him. So here is the replay of what Matthew Overton does. He goes down into Mulsanne and literally nearly ends up on his roof. Is this the replay? We're not seeing the replay at the moment, so bear with us on that one. We will get it going there as well. And here he comes. This was Peter Meyer. Oh, is that JT in the Corvette? Or was that Peter Meyer? No, it's Peter Meyer in the Corvette going up over the whatever that can be described as. So, Peter Meyer there, unfortunately, on that one. Leaders still up front. They're still battling away as they're coming down into Indianapolis at the moment. Tom Lane and Bradley Sellers. Ross Smith coming in Indianapolis with Ethan Funk right behind him as well. On your screen, Mike Bell and Wouter de Bruin battling it out in 6th and 7th. De Bruin in the Daytona there, and also probably Mike Bell is as well, and he is. And those guys are nose to tail once more. So a great job from all of these. Becky Ely and Dan Herlock on swap positions again. I don't believe that's going to be the first time or the last time here, Brad, that these are going to be changing positions.
This is going to keep up for the full 2 hours unless one of them manages to find a gap and open up a gap. And all of these little pockets of battling are just going to keep back and forth. Here's where the problem comes in. And this is, James, you're a NASCAR fan. You know how this works. As they battle, they're going to open up gaps to the cars behind. Or, sorry, correction, the car ahead is going to open up a gap and they're going to fall farther behind. So they've got to keep that in mind when they battle. There needs to be a little bit of working together, and the speed difference between the Div 3s and the Div 1 and 2s is really going to come into play here shortly. As we've got another replay. That's the 43. That is Brian Hall. Just how hard a hit that was. It's very rare that we see cars in VWSC slam to the point they lose a tire. I mean, that is... Ouch.
Yeah, Scar Pope, unfortunately, was very slow round the Mulsanne. He ran a little bit hot here. Adam Gray did pretty much the same thing. And I've got a funny feeling Nick Kirstens has been in to serve his penalty. He has. Dan Herlock on your screen with Reese Gardner at the moment as these guys are continuing to fight. It's just seems to be a lot of action all over the place at this moment in time. And this was Matthew Overton. You see him go down into Mulsanne and he just gets it all wrong and then practically ends up on top of another car. Does poor old Matthew Overton here. He goes in, he goes to get the inside line, and then he gets stuck, and then he just basically, there you go, he's practically on top. And if you had a different camera angle of that, you'd probably find out that Matthew Overton is about 3 foot in the air at this moment in time, Brad, as well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, the car 3 feet in the air is probably not what would be what you want. So, yeah, cars don't like to be in air. Cargo air? No, cargo on road. So let's get the car back on the road. Look at this. This is the battle Div 1-2. Becky Ely just trying to hold off Daniel Herlock, who has a run there. I mean, it's very, very close between them all the way through, and then you've got a Gardner just right there. I mean, look at this. This is close racing. This is the type of racing that I like. I like very close, competitive, high-speed racing. I think it's the historic series really, really scratches an itch for me of just high-speed, full-throttle battles all the way through.
Yeah, I think with the fact that everybody is so close together, I think that's the thing for me at the moment. You see Becky Ely, Herlock still scrapping it out. The rest of the classes are starting to spread out, but this Div 1, Div 2, they're just not leaving each other alone. They're going up through the S's again, that left, right there, and all I have in my head right now is the Le Mans 66 or Ford versus Ferrari, depending where you are in the world, and the driver of the Ford just singing as he's driving down here as well. The happy song down there as well. Amazing scenes on that one. But this is such a long straight. I'd end up talking about going off and losing me out about shopping or something. It's so long.
It is. See, the good thing for the drivers here is we get a replay. This is Becky Ely up the inside of the number 19 there, going through the 19 Wiggly, Peter Meyer, trying to hold on to it, and off in the grass. I did not know that car was also a lawnmower. Doesn't look like it did a good job. Ooh. And retires to the pit lane along with a car missing a front tire there. So
yeah, we got Peter Meyer, Santiago Dancourt, Brian Hall, and at the moment Matthew Overton. They're the four that are DNF'd over the first 20 minutes here. But Dan Herlock, Becky Ely, they're going to swap again. They are going to swap again. How is it going to work out this time? Well, I can tell you just in front of them is Elko Busanic for Dan Herlock. He just cannot quite get there here currently. What about Becky Ely? She's trying her absolute hardest in that Lotus to see if she can make up any difference. That little, it does so remind me of a skateboard on wheels. I don't know who really put that in. Then going down into Mulsanne, here comes Ely now. She's gone alongside currently at the moment for Dan Herlock. Is she going to be able to get it as they come drop down the other side of the hill into the Mulsanne corner? Is she going to be able to make it through? Where is Herlock in conjunction? He not only loses that place, but he loses it to Reese Gardner and almost loses 2 places there for Dan Herlock. And unfortunately, he's gone down from first in class to fourth in class there in one move.
That's the thing about this racing being so tight, is that one small moment you can drop multiple places. And the thing is, you know, when you look through the gaps, there's cars that are very close together. That's car that is slightly further apart. It's really interesting, I'm not gonna lie, to just watch through, because you go from first place to fourth place. But the thing is, if you watch for Dan Herlock, eventually he's gonna do the reverse and probably run his way back up to first place by the time things are done. So you just got to kind of watch and keep your eyes on things as it goes. Again, this is a long race, 2 hours and 8 minutes left to go here, and anything can happen throughout 2 hours and 8 minutes of racing.
Can anybody point me in the direction of where our leader has gone in Tom Lane? He is all the way down in 9th place at the moment. Now, was Tom on the list of penalties to serve at the beginning? He was. Yeah, so that's why he's gone down. He had a stop and hold to serve at the beginning there. So Tom Lane has gone from the lead down into 9th. I've got to be honest, he battled like an absolute trooper for the first few laps to hold off Bradley Sellers here. Didn't quite, well, he did manage to do it until obviously he had to go and get the penalty. Ethan Funk is just about to go up the inside of Ross Smith, so a great job from him. And then we've got Elko Busanic and Becky Ely continuing to fight it out further down here again as they're coming near enough, I believe. Should be over the start. Where are they? All the way down, coming into the S's.
Yeah, and as they run through, again, we're just watching. This is just slipstreaming. We talked about how powerful the slipstream would be, and it's just a case of just sit behind, hold your own. If you've got the run, try to dive out, but just be careful of the car behind and just, you know, watch what you're doing here. Look at this. Like, you can see Becky Ely thinks about the dive there to the right, doesn't do it, slides right back in. This is just a matter of hold each other through, because the thing is, these Div 1 and 2 cars, when I'm looking at top speeds, 242, 244 kph, but you look at the Div 1 or Div 3 cars, 313, 306, 320 kph for Ethan Funk top speed. So if they don't rely on slipstream, it's going to make their life very hard. Watch David Junt here, who has a dive up through the right-hand side around Yuki Takanashi, and is now going to slot back in that alpha and just keep going. But Yuki Takanashi, this straight is so long, will be able to use slipstream and possibly just shoot back around yet again. Lots of racing, lots of strategy to go through here in this race, James. It's genuinely just one of those you kind of just have to sit and watch and enjoy.
Yeah, I tell you what we do want to sit and watch as well, I don't know if we can get it up, is the Barry DiMarzio, Jerry Chen incident. Barry ended up literally in the same place as Matthew Overton did, but lucky enough he did manage to get off that dirt verge, which I presume was assigned a safety barrier back then, but that was absolutely insane. Davish and Takanashi still continuing in here and still fighting out as best they physically can for this position. It's been quite frantic already, and we've only been going, 35 minutes?
Not even. We haven't even been going that long at all. We haven't... Has it been... It's just at 20 minutes, I believe, so... here's a good replay for you. This is going to be a big moment. Watch through. This is Cabrera. Watch down the pit straight here. There is contact. on pit.
He got sent into the shadow realm, I believe.
That's kind of nasty. I'm not gonna lie. That was that felt personal.
Okay, tell you what. If you look that on the onboard, the speed that he was entering into that barrier was literally insane at that moment for Alfredo Cabrera. He was entered in at 225 kilometers an hour straight in, and that was it. Game over. He's DNF'd and out, so we've lost to Cabrera as well. Elko Busanic still fighting it out with Beko Ely, and Yuki Takahashi is cleared, damaged and pulled out half a second.
Yeah, that Busanic and Ely battle is going to be a big one again all the way through. I'm really interested in the Div 3 battle here with Sellers, Funk, Smith, as they're separated by just about 3 seconds, which isn't a lot of time, really, but it's just enough that none of them really have slipstream as it goes through. Becky Ely here with Elko Busanic, and this battle is going to rage on for a while as we continue to watch. Down the pit straight they come, and again, the fun of historic Le Mans is that there's no chicanes, there's nothing that really breaks up the racing. It's a lot of just slipstream go, and you've got to just, the few corners you have to nail. Like turn 1 here through the Dunlop curve, you have to nail this.
Yeah, I think you're in trouble, right? Yeah. I think that's an obvious kind of thing. They are going to be in trouble coming into the S's. You know, it's all about getting that exit out of Tetra Rouge as well, and I think for them, they must nail that as best they can here. We've got a replay on your screen at the moment, and this was Fernando Ferreira going backwards across the track. Can he at least try and stop it from going any further? He does. So unfortunately for Fernando Ferreira, that was quite a big impact on that one. One of the interesting things I want to point out at the moment is, I'm not sure if he's still in here, but I've got Yuki Takahashi as a DQ and Reese Gardner as a DQ. So if anybody can fill us in on why that would be, but I've had Takahashi and Reese Gardner both DQ'd.
Yeah, I'm showing the same thing, so I don't know. We'll see. The grass is dangerous as they go down through Moose Lane there. Hold on. Oh, watch the rejoin.
Yeah. But I can tell you now, Barry Damaso has had a bit of a rough one. Alfredo Cabrera is there, so unfortunately for Cabrera, he has had a bit of a tough race so far. Becky Ely now trying to chase down Elko Busanic and has got 1.4 seconds. This was Barry Damaso's first one. He ends up mounting where Matthew Overton was and ends up on the same bit. He jumps it and then mounts that mud verge, I guess, as a safety barrier, which I've can never quite believe in my life, to be honest, that could be considered as anything other than dangerous. But I think, you know, that's what they had in them days, and that's what they've got to deal with.
I mean, hey, you have what you have, and that's all they can run with. If you look at the history of Le Mans, I mean, the first race was in 1923, and the average speed was 57 miles an hour. So I think depending on what you look at, I don't think they ever really planned on things to actually happen with this. Of course, there's been wrecks where, you know, there was the big wreck in 1955 where 83 spectators died. The historic series, I like it because we're in sim, we have the safety of sim. But you also do have to remember kind of the risk that the real-life drivers went through. It's rough. Look at the replay on screen here. Think about if you were a spectator here on the left-hand side, exactly what would be going on. This is 369. Again, you hit that bump, you're going over that in real life. You're just going to fly over that dirt, no questions asked. Yeah,
and the speed that they're coming in as well is physically insane. And I wouldn't have wanted to go and be any part of that, I think, because of just how dangerous it is. Or I'd make sure I was in a place where possibly I'm not going to have any trouble. But this is Matt Overton here. He is DNF now as well. And that is, where is he on the race circuit there as well? Whatever it is, he's got damage previously. And he just parks it up. Does Matt Overton there. And unfortunately, that looks like the run out of Tetra Rouge, to be honest.
I think it is. I think that is where he was. I think he was going onto the Mousseline Straight.
Yeah, so unfortunately, another DNF. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 45, I believe, that are out already. Magnus Dahlgren on your screen, Mike Bell. 2 hours left, of course. Give me your predictions. How many cars do you think are going to complete the race? I will tell you now, we have 38 cars on the racetrack. We have lost 7 already. And what I really want to find out is why do we have that DQ'd? I'm going to go and have a hunt and find out if I can find any information on that one. And there we go. So bear with me. I'm going on a little bit of a fact finder.
Yeah, and then let's check out a quick replay here while James does some fact finding. This is again. Oh, that's not how you want to do that. That's the number 30 Ferrari. And I will tell you right now, that is not at all how you should be taking the corner. What that one boils down to, from an outsider's perspective, is the brakes just decided that you were going to go a different direction than you wanted to. Yeah, that's a quick way to run a race. As James figures out the 2 DQs, we're under 2 hours to go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's only been about a half hour of racing through. You can see the sun starting to go down. The headlights are on. This is where the action is really going to pick up. And I will tell you right now, even though this is a power circuit, driving this track at night is completely different than driving this track during the day. And you've really, really got to know what's going on. As the voice in my ear says, good luck commentating. And the big thing is, watch the headlights. The headlights are going to tell you everything you need to know. And then the timing on the side will help just a little bit more. We've got some of the Div 3 starting to go in the pits here. DeMarzo and Coors are in the pits in the Div 3 AMs. As we run down the back straight here, the Mulsanne straight. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I feel like I pronounced it 5 different ways. I'm sure
Mulsanne is right. Yeah, Mulsanne is right. I can tell you, Dave Coors had a spectacular moment in his Ferrari on the kink down into Indianapolis. He actually hit a tree. He literally nosedived a tree. That was absolutely incredible. Dave Coors. So there we go.
Yeah, the tree is a fun one. I don't recommend doing that. As we see, drivers are still coming through the pits here. Down in the bottom right, keep your eye on the pit lane. The pit lane's a little bit dangerous because there's not a big defining wall. It is literally the pit lane to the track, and the only thing that you have is that white line. And the drivers are basically just expected to know the difference and stay out of the way, which, of course, all of these drivers that know the Historic Series and run the Historic Series, they are perfectly fine and don't, I don't typically see issues with them with the pits there, James, of where they don't separate the pit lane and the straightaway.
Yeah, I think they've just got to go over there as well. We've got Reese Gardner in the interview room here. Reese is going to come and tell us about what happened with his race here. Reese, you are live, so let's keep it clean. What happened out there, bud?
Well, it was a simple quirk of the conditions that was outlined in the briefing, but I unfortunately forgot about it. Basically, we were advised to turn our headlights on the grid, because as the track starts getting darker, headlights are required. I forgot to turn mine on, and the sim disqualified me.
Oh. Are we guessing that may have been the same situation with Yuki then?
Yeah, most likely. I can't think of any other reason why a disqualification would happen, but yeah, it really stings for me and for Yuki, because we're both pretty quick in our class. I was battling in the top 3, so yeah, I'm just really unhappy with myself. I mean, I am trying very hard to keep it clean, as you say.
Yeah, obviously it is going to be tough, Reese, and we understand that as well. But obviously, sometimes you being mad with in yourself as well. But there, as Magnus Dahlgren, 2 seconds goes down into the Mulsanne and has a big old moment there. Poor old Magnus Dahlgren does not have a good time at either of it as well. You know, it's tough when it's your own error, is it not? Is that harder, do you think, to swallow than if it was another driver's problem?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a lot tougher to deal with when it's something that, you know, that you forgot about, that you know, you were advised of in the briefing and still forgot. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just happy that I'm going to have a relatively early night compared to other rounds of this series, because yeah, I guess it's better that it happened now and not like really late on in the race, because then I would have been even more angry.
You wouldn't have made it about another 10 minutes, mate, to be honest, because we're already coming into the dark here. So if you didn't have them on by now, you would have been out roughly about the same time as you probably was as well. But Reese, thank you so much for joining us and coming in to tell us what happened to you on that one, mate. And, well, I don't really know what to say, Reese. Is there anyone you want to shout out, buddy, before we let you go?
Just my Twitch chat for keeping me company and also consoling me when I had a little tantrum on stream. And thank you to you guys for continuing to bring a very high quality broadcast to this series. Hopefully, Reims is better for me.
I'll tell you what you can do if your Twitch chat are listening. Head over to JPBroadcasting on YouTube. You can sit and watch the race, or Championship Motorsports. There you go. Get a quick plug in while I'm here, Reese.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. Thanks very much, guys.
Oh, man. Take care. Well, there you go. That is what happened to Reese Gardner. Tough bit of pill to swallow, but when it's your own mistake, I guess it makes it even harder.
Yeah, and I hate that it just straight disqualified him. That's Are
you saying then he should have had a warning at least about, look, mate, put your lights on? Is that what you're saying? But you can't. The game doesn't differentiate from that scenario, does it? Especially when he was told in the briefing.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, again, it's one of those as a driver. I mean, I'd be mad. I'd be furious. It'd be like, you know, why doesn't the sim give me some sort of a warning of like, hey, turn your headlights on? Why is it just straight to a disconnection? But it's also as a driver, you know, you were told in the briefing. It is in the briefing. So you kind of just. It is what it is. Like, it sucks, but it is what it is. You regroup, you learn, and you get ready for the next race. That's all you can do in that situation. It's not like he can get the game to reverse it and go back out on track. I mean, it's done, it's over. So, as he said, it's on to the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is it for him. I can tell you now, Becky Ely is climbing all over the back of Eduardo Benica. She's putting the pressure on him here as they're going to be continuing to fight. I wouldn't like to hazard a guess coming into what will be the pit lane very, very shortly, the pit straight, I should say. And what is Becky Ely going to do here? Is she going to be able to go round before she gets up through Dunlop and through the S's? Or is she going to wait for the Mulsanne, do you think?
I would wait for the Mulsanne. I would just hang out and wait for the Mulsanne. That's just my opinion, though. But we all know that I am not the driver. I'm a commentator, and the drivers tend to do the opposite of what I say. So let's sit and wait and watch, because they also have the Div 3 traffic that is starting to work its way through as well. So maybe try to take advantage of that. We'll see. Becky Ely's a very smart driver. I'm one of the people that are very glad to see Becky Ely out on track. So we'll see what Becky Ely decides to do here.
Yeah, Mike Bell, Magnus Dahlgren, and Timon Suvic are the Div 3 starting to make their way through there. Mike Bell is on front. And then we've got Diego Castro. What has he been up to? Well, whatever it is, it's a DNF tip here. As again, kink into Indianapolis, straight into the wall, straight across the other side of the circuit. And unfortunately for him, that is another DNF. We are now down to 37, which I believe Tony McCoffin is our last runner and rider. It's like, unfortunately, they're just dropping out like flies at the moment, Brad.
Yeah, I think we're going to end up, if I have to put a guess, I'm going to tell you 25 drivers at the end. It's just, we're losing people left, right, and center, and I think it's a moment of literally just drivers missing the break into Mulsanne. It's literally just people messing up the Mulsanne King, and you've got to keep it consistent over and over and over again for another hour and 49 minutes, which is a tall ask. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's a simple ask. You know, at the end of a straight that literally takes a minute and 20 seconds to go down at over 300 kilometers an hour, and to then have to turn around, slam on the brakes, and lock it down for a hard right-hander, it's very easy to mess it up.
Yeah, very much so. Eduardo Benico and Becky Ely continuing to fight here. On your screen, Dan Herlock is closing in at a rate of knots, but the Div 3s are in the middle of all of this, so that there's Div 3 still coming through. There's Herlock coming in as well. Mike Bell's cleared, Magnus Dahlgren's cleared, on Timon Suvic's now trying to come through, and now Dan Herlock is literally tucked up right behind Becky Healy at the moment. As going to be very interesting in this battle very, very shortly.
Yeah, this battle is going to continue to go up and down and off and on the whole time. That's the big thing. Again, an hour and 48 minutes, and I feel like we've been watching this battle since the race start. It's just kept going and going and going. I'm loving it. I'm not gonna lie. It's I'm not gonna do the trademark sound, but I am loving it, and I kind of just hope the racing stays this competitive all the way through. Again, if you look at the timing table, there's some big gaps, but you've got pockets like this that are making this amazing to watch and keep up with.
Yeah, Ross Smith moves himself up into P2. He's been battling away with Bradley Sellers. I can tell you now, down in the Div 1, Div 2 AMS, Michael Locker's just taken the lead over Eric Monet. So they're still fighting out for that part of the class lead down in the Div 1 and Div 2. So yeah, some action all the way in Div 1 and Div 2 and Div 1 and Div 2 AMS. They're continuing to fight, and Ross Smith and Bradley Sellers are still fighting out here in the Div 3s, and that is Michael Locke and Eric Monet on your screen there as well, continuing to fight. I do love Micah's livery on that Alfa Romeo Giulia as well. So yeah, good old Michael Locke doing a great job on that one as he takes the Div 1, Div 2 lead. So let's see. Diego Castro was the last DNF. So we're down to 37. Castro has DNF'd, so down to 37. And this is Michael Locke's move on Eric Monet. He gets him on the run and makes it into the inside. That is the Mulsanne corner, I believe, there as well, as we are watching it in absolute dead of night. And he should be able to just go, yeah, gets it through on the inside there. So Michael Locke does move himself up into the lead of the Div 1, Div 2s. They're all starting to settle down a little bit here, Brad, as well. No real close battles. Dan Herlock is still in the mix with Becky Ely. We've got Brad Smith, Bradley Sellers and Ross Smith, as I combine the two, on your screen at the moment.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting watching. We can see so much more than the drivers can in their perspective as we have these TV camera angles. You know, if we were to jump on board with Bradley Sellers right now, Bradley Sellers can hardly see the car in front of him and hardly see beyond his headlights. It truly is a case of car knowledge here. So we see Becky Ely trying to make a move on Eduardo Benica here, and I think getting the pass done and going through. Let's see, this is turning into like a 3-car battle.
Yeah, there's Becky Ely in the background there, and I think Dan Herlock is also trying to, this is battle for position in Div 1 and Div 2. Eduardo Benica, Becky Ely in second, or in third, but Eduardo Benica in second, and Dan Herlock in fourth in class. These three continue the fight. They're topping north of 240 kilometers an hour, and they're still continuing to fight here and still doing an absolute stellar job racing down through the Mulsanne kink. They go. They've got the run from 6 down into 7, 246 kilometers an hour. They're still fighting it out. Herlock's pulled out. He's going to try and box Ely in behind Benica. He's going to manage it so well. Going down into the Mulsanne. They've got to hit the brakes. Herlock slots back in behind. He doesn't get the job done. And Dan Herlock there just misses out. But that was a battle of bravery. And Dan Herlock didn't quite show he was going to have enough of it.
Yeah, holding on to it. He got through and he got going. It looked, it was I thought he had the move done and then slotted back in single file. So I was waiting to see if that went into place, and it didn't. And now, Mike Bell, Magnus Dahlgren battling here, P7, P8, that are very close. If you see a move, you've got to make it stick. We're an hour 43 to go. But look at how spread out the field is. If you look, you have 37 cars running that are spread out by over 2 laps. So as that goes, and when you consider that a lap is 3 minutes, anywhere between 3.5 to 4 minutes, 15 seconds, that's a big field spread. So you've really got to be thinking of that and moving your way forward as you can.
Yeah, I can tell you now, in the Div 3s, if we can pick up a Wouter de Bruin and Tom Lane, they are literally going at it, hammer and tong, and they're just about to pass Oliver Dancourt through the S's, and they are literally fighting it out here. Tom Lane and Wouter de Bruin has blocked Tom Lane in behind Dancourt and has taken that position as well. Wouter de Bruin using his brains, he uses the back marker, he blocks in Tom Lane, says thank you very much, I'll have that position away.
Such a good move there to get forward, and then now it's just keep the momentum going, open up a gap, but you can see it's closing because Slipstream is coming in, so they are going to continue to move forward. Bradley Sellers and Ross Smith here, less than a tenth separating these two, and they are neck and neck here. I can't even tell the difference between the two cars until right about now when the other set of headlights pops out, and that is scary, especially when you consider that they're coming through the Mulsanne kink here, just right there to each other. It is close, and now they just keep moving and down, and again, here we go as we hit deep braking, and I really thought the Bradley Sellers would think about a dive there, but doesn't, and now we just continue moving single file.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think he was, to be honest, if I was Brad, I'd use Ross to try and save as much fuel on that one as they physically can, because I think as well that fuel could be of a precedent here, and I think these guys can probably save as much as physically possible, and it would be absolutely incredible here as well. So Tom Lane, Wouter de Bruin still battling out. We have brought the names up above the cars. Ross Smith nearly just got it all wrong. He has got it wrong. I don't know if we're looking at Tom Lane and Wouter de Bruin, but I can tell you now, Ross Smith made it through Indianapolis by literally the skin of his teeth. That was just absolutely insane from Ross there, as he got all a little bit wrong, but Wouter de Bruin, Tom Lane battling it out once more, and these guys continue to fight. This is great little battles going all the way through. Becky Ely's in, John Uyan's in, Scar Pope's in the pit lane, Oscar Dancourt's been in, Oliver Day's been in as well. So, yeah, cars coming into the pits as well.
Yeah, and with an hour 40 to go, this is where we really expect to start seeing those pit stop cycles hit. We were looking at 30 to 40 minutes for the Div 1 and 2, so we're really starting to hit 40 to 55 minutes in the Div 3s is what we are expecting for a pit stop. So we are definitely into the pit stop window for all classes at this point, and it's going to be a case of just, what do you want to do? How far do you want to stretch the fuel? How far has the fuel actually lasted? Ross Smith with a new fastest lap of a 3 36 around and is slowly closing the gap there to Ethan Funk. The Shelby Daytona versus the Shelby Daytona battle. And then look at this. Mike Bell, Magnus Dahlgren. This is Shelby versus Ferrari. This is a good battle. 1/10 of a second separating right now. Magnus Dahlgren with the slipstream in that Ferrari 250 as we go down. And oh, big moment for Mike Bell. Oh, Mike Bell.
He managed to survive.
Did you save that?
Yeah,
How?
I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. Timon Suvik and Magnus Dahlgren is chasing him as well. We've just had thanks from Kim. Labels on the cars are helpful. Thank you, she says there as we brought them up, because it is literally pitch black. We cannot see nothing. And Dahlgren and Bell side by side. They're fighting it out here. And as we are looking at the Dan Herlock and Edward Benica battle, and I can tell you now, Dahlgren and Bell side by side on the run into the S's. They've not given it up. Eva and Eduardo Benica and Dan Herlock still fighting out as they go down the Mulsanne, round the Mulsanne corner, and on that run down through the Corbe de Golf, down into Indianapolis. It's going to be very, very tough. But Dahlgren and Bell and Suvik, well, let's just put it this way. They are literally the terminology of nose to tail. That's where they're summed up as. But this battle here with Benica and Herlock, it's not giving up yet. Nobody's quitting out of this yet, Brad.
Here's the thing, too. If you're the driver ahead in a situation like this, you really, really have to trust that the car behind knows what they're doing and isn't going to just absolutely plow into the back of you and send you on somewhere. Like, there's a lot of trust that these drivers give each other, that all of them know what they're doing, especially when you consider that at the end of a minute, 20 seconds straight, you are slamming on the brakes for Mulsanne corners. So there is a lot of trust and faith given between these drivers. And of course, these are drivers that race together pretty much weekly, at minimum, if not more often than once a week. So you've got to just remember that in the mix too. It's the dead of night. You can't see anything except for what the headlights have in front of you. You're trying to snake through Div 1 and 2 traffic right here, and you're bumper to bumper. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. Thank you, VWSC Historic Series, for some good racing.
Yeah, Bradley Sellers there with Ross Smith, and they're providing the action here, I think, as well, Brad, doing a great job as they're into Indianapolis. The left-hander now on the run down into Arnage here, and it is just literally nose to tail with these guys trying to come through in the Div 1 and 2s, which they have done. That's Tony McCoffin and John Uyan they've just passed, but Bradley Sellers now with Ross Smith on that run through Arnage into Copper de Brusson, down the Maison Blanc, and then before they go into what will be the pit straight here. And I don't think this is going to stop, and I'm hoping that we manage to hold on to as many of these cars as we can, because the last thing we want to see is people being out just purely because they made a mistake.
Yeah, and I think if the drivers make it through the nighttime, the biggest battle after they make it through the night is going to be about the last 20 minutes. And that is just because you've been driving for 2 hours at that point. That's when things are going to get rough. John Mayer and George Angelidis in the bottom right-hand corner, slipstreaming through, battling each other as we watch in the top left. On the main screen here, this is the battle with Ross Smith and Bradley Sellers. You saw Ethan Funk just go by as well. Keep your eye on that gap between Ross Smith and Ethan Funk. That gap is going to be very, very close, very, very quickly, as Ross Smith has a lot of pace against Ethan Funk. And you can see that is a Div 1-2 car of Bowers that is battling a little bit too with our overall race leader and is just giving him a little bit of grief as they head through the S's.
Yeah, we'll see how this one pans out. Eduardo Benica and Elko Brusinic. Oh, John Mayer has gone somewhere into a field, I believe. Yeah, down there as well, into that Mulsanne corner, and John Mayer has gone and unfortunately taken a venture off the side of the circuit. Was it its own doing? That's going to be the question. I think it may have been his own fault there.
It was hard to tell from my angle. I saw flashing lights, but of course he was there with George Angelidis. And then all of a sudden, you see the car veer right, and of course Mayer probably slow dancing in a burning car in the middle of the forest. There's a John Mayer joke for the day, and I will leave those alone. Let's get a replay here and see if we can tell a little bit more about what happened. John Mayer, George Angelidis here. Was there contact between these two? They come over the hill there, flashing lights, and he just hooked it right. I don't know what that was.
There wasn't any contact.
Yeah, that was just it literally looked like he just cut the car hard right with no question.
Yeah, it looked like there was a massive error there. I don't know if that was under braking. He's gone to brake and the car isn't steady and he's just snapped the car around, or if he's had some form of hardware failure. Whatever it was big for him. Ross Smith, Bradley Sellers still fighting out as well. Ross has got past, but they are separated by, probably 7 tenths at the moment here. Where if you look down at Brusinic and Herlock and Benica, they're split by 6 tenths between the three.
Yeah, it's close battles anywhere you want to look. So it's literally pick a battle and it's close. It's literally pick a car and there's a battle going on. It's great. I love it. As we come down the pit straight here, George Angelides flying through. Let's check this out with Tony McCaughlin going through and trying to hold off John Ullian. This is the battle for P10 in Div 1-2, and you've got Wooder DeBruin there in the Div 3 who is starting to snake his way through. He's in P6 in Div 3. So traffic, I think, is starting to play a big issue as well. This is going to be Fernando Ferreira here in the Div 1-2. Runs it a bit wide there and then just over the bump. No harm, no foul. Gets back on the track, possibly?
Yeah, he takes a very diverted line to get back on the circuit there. Everett, if you can let us know who you're looking for, we might be able to help you a little bit more there, sir, because obviously we only showed the top 6 in the 4 classes on the left-hand side. So if you can tell us who you're looking for, we'll be able to tell you where they are and what has happened to them, if anything, here on the race circuit. But Benica is still under pressure from Brusinic, and that is McCaughlin and Uyan on the main screen at the moment as they're fighting it out here again. Tony McCaughlin, he's of course had his own little bits and moments throughout this race, and unfortunately has dropped down the order into 10th in class. But I can tell you now, Benica and Herlock and Brusinic are side by side right about now, going down the Mulsanne Straight. So if we can pick up on them, that would be absolutely amazing. And there you go, Brad, right on time.
I mean, look at this. This is just side by side, Brusinic, Herlock, and I mean, like, what do you even say to a moment like this? You just watch. I'm not gonna lie, I hold my breath a little bit. This is one of those that I hold my breath and I watch, and I just hope that everybody makes it through. If you're Aliko Brusinic, what do you do when you've got 2 very fast cars like Herlock and Benica behind? It's drive your race, and it's hope. As you see, Dan Herlock not really looking for a move. Now he's going to dive to the right-hand side. Now Eduardo Benica has a decision. Do you stay behind Brusinic, or do you go with Herlock? And it looks like in this case, it's go with Herlock. Maybe try to shoot the gap for the middle. They're going to be 3 wide possibly through here. And they slot back in single file as we head down towards Mulsanne Corner. And they just settle things out nice in single file. Let's pick back up here at the front. Ross Smith is ahead of Bradley Sellers by 1/10 of a second, trying to get through this Div 1-2 traffic, as he has less than 1/10 that is keeping this lead alive for him as the overall lead. And look at this, the lead overall separated by less than 1/10 with an hour and a half to go, James. This is big.
Yeah, Eva Funk has been in the pit lane. Timon Suvic's been in the pit lane. Magnus Dolger and John Mayer and Tom Lane has been in. So that's why Ross is where he is. Bradley Sellers tucked in right at the moment, right behind him as they're running down the Mulsanne now. Over the hill they go, dropping down the other side. I'm not quite sure if I'd have loved to be in this, coming into Mulsanne Corner at this time of night, in this car, in this era. Oh, I'm sitting here thinking, Jesus, holies, the drivers back then definitely had some kahunas on them.
Yeah, they did. I wouldn't be doing this. I'm very glad that we have this virtual, because you can see that replay with Magnus Dahlgren. I mean, it's just literally, it's hold on and pray. Every time we jump back in with Ross Smith and Bradley Sellers, and they are anywhere that is not the Mulsanne Straight, it is literally just a case of watching them slide these cars around. It is amazing to me just how loosey-goosey you have to drive these 1964 era cars in order to be effective and efficient with them. It is, you just have to be willing to let them slide, let them go through, and let them run. Watch Brusinic here on the right-hand side, and Brusinic still trying to battle off Dan Herlock and Eduardo Benica right there in the mix. I mean, look at this. Now Barry DiMarzio trying to go through as well. This is man, this is good hard racing through. Watch on the left, Ross Smith, Bradley Sellers. Again, they head down the Mulsanne Straight separated by 1/10 of a second, 0.2 of a second, all the way down a minute 20-second straightaway, just all the way down it, and they are just bumper to bumper. Any small error from any of these drivers could absolutely spell catastrophe.
That's the thing they've got. Bradley Sellers with Ross Smith. They're going in to the last final sectors of the racetrack here. These guys through Cobber de Brosson, down through Maison Blanche, down the pit straight. As you are looking at them on your screen, you can see the gaggle of cars down in your bottom right-hand corner, Brad, and there's quite a few of them involved in that. And that is Dan Herlock, Elko Busanic, and there was a bump miraculously in the middle of nowhere on the race circuit, and Barry DeMarzo from the Div 3 has managed to clear them, but these guys still continue to fight, and this is for the lead of Div 1, Div 2.
Yeah, and this battle is going to rage on for a while until we start to see, I think, pit stops really separating people out, because that battle is right there. I mean, just look at it. It's nothing. There's nothing separating the top three. 1/10.5 separating the top three in Div 1, 2. I mean, this is great battling. These cars are somewhat slower than their Div 3 counterparts, but you can't tell just how close they are. Look at this. Now you've got Benica there in P2 and Busanic down into P3 as Dan Herlock finds his way forward, as you've got Benica there on the right-hand side, Dan Herlock there on the left. How does this one run out? This is Div 1, 2 overall race lead. They've got another Div 3 coming up of Dave Kors there, you can see, and then David Junt a little bit farther back. That's 7 seconds separating these three from David Junt. That is, it doesn't feel like a lot, but it is a lot of time there as you head down. They head through the kink, and now they're going to head down into Mulsanne Corner. And how does this end up? Again, they're still racing just right there with each other. And it's anyone's guess how this ends, if it ends. The harder they race, with an hour and a half to go, it becomes a question of, who makes the error first, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing. We've lost John Mayer as well. There was no real dramas for John. He drove down the straight and then he just pulled it over onto the left-hand side. So I'm not entirely sure what happened to John, whether or not there was incident earlier on, whatever it was. He just didn't seem happy in the car. He pulled over and pulled it off the side of the circuit. But Sellers and Smith continue to fight it out. Dave Kors has managed to get through the Herlock Benica Busanic battle as well, but Ross and Bradley I think they're going to both come off this absolutely shattered, Brad, as they're still continuing to fight.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to come out ahead. I want to say that Ross Smith might find it. Ross Smith seems very confident in these 1964 cars, so keep your eyes on Ross towards the end. And he does also have a little bit of the fun because he's, of course, behind the scenes involved with Storm Gang Simulations. So I'm not saying that that's going to help him. I'm just saying he seems very comfortable and confident and very together through. Bradley Sellers, a lot of good pace, though, and doing all the right things to keep Ross Smith behind. The question is, how wide is the Shelby Daytona? Well, how wide is the Le Mans track? Because it's about how wide that Bradley Sellers needs it to be. This is the replay of John Mayer. You mentioned you didn't really see a lot going on, but it does look like a little bit of smoke comes out of the back. So I think John Mayer might have blown his engine up somehow, which again is not something I'm used to seeing in the historic series. It can happen. It's unfortunate when it happens, but the question is how. Did he money shift down? Did he hit something? It looks like he may have money shifted, honestly, for not really sure.
We're trying to keep a close eye here, and it's very difficult to obviously see in the dark, right? We definitely didn't have smoke there, Brad. So, if that is the situation, let's see what happens. De Bruin is in. Ross Smith is also in as well. Bradley Sellers is in here as well. Brad, pit stop cycle starting through. Carl Vesser has come in behind him. And that is the top three. It's going to be where comes into the mix of this one after these guys' pit stops.
Yeah, and the thing with Funk is Funk has been held up by Div 1-2 traffic too with his after his pit stop. So we'll see where he blends in with Bradley Sellers and Ross Smith and how that goes through. And again, you see the headlights flashing there on Ethan Funk. He's kind of just saying, hey, Lalonde, get out of my way. I'm trying to go. I'm a Div 3. I'm faster than you. I got more power. I'm in a Shelby. Come on now. Let me go. And you can see he's snaking his way through here. But where does he go through? It's going to be close. It's going to be close. He comes through the pit straight here. I see Ross Smith moving, and now Adam Gray's in. Ross Smith is moving here. Comes Ethan Funk down. You see him come through. Where does he go through? Ross Smith is out of the pit lane, back going, but again, Ethan Funk has the overspeed. Where does he land in the mix? And it does look like Ross Smith has pulled off the undercut, but we'll see, can he maintain that down Mulsanne straight?
Well, he's got not a lot of gap, mind you. Ross Smith over Ethan Funk. He's got 1.6 seconds here. So these guys still continuing to fight it out. And the pit stop cycle worked good for Ross here, Brad. And I think he's now got to go and try and do this again, maintain it once more. But it's not always easy, is it? And especially with Bradley Sellers behind him in practically the same, well, what is the same car?
Oh, if it was easy, I would be doing it. It's not easy in any way, shape, and or form, but that's what makes these guys elite here in this 1964 series as we go through. This is, again, Busenik running through with Dan Herlock in the mix, as well as Eduardo Benica. This battle is still going in the battle for Div 1 and 2. But I do want to point out we're an hour in officially to this 2-hour, 24-minute race. And we've only had one pit stop from the leaders. So, I know we were predicting 1 to 3. The question for me becomes for the Div 3 leaders here, for Ross Smith, for Ethan Funk, for Bradley Sellers, and JT Tammy. JT Tammy actually hasn't pit yet and is in 4th place. But for Kyle Vesa in the mix, what becomes their strategy? Are they going to splash and dash, I guess, to try to make the final 20 minutes? Are they going to try to run it a little long? Surely they cannot conserve 24 minutes of fuel. There's absolutely zero way. So the question is, when do they do their next pit stop? If they know they can make it an hour on one pit stop, when is the next one coming up as we get a replay here? DeMarzo is missing a front left tire. What has happened here for DeMarzo to be missing a front left tire? That is, yeah, that's what we call a bad day in the business, honestly.
Well, I can't tell you. He was coming down into Indianapolis. There you go, it's on your screen. And he just got it all wrong, did Barry DeMarzo. And that is why he has got that tyre off, Brad. It was a little bit of an issue with his track, with a crash there. I can also tell you in regards to Yuki Takanashi, why he got his DQ. Apparently, he jump-started at the beginning, gave him a drive-through penalty. He went into the pits to serve it, but it did not register that he served it, and he got DQ'd anyway. Yeah, Barry was on the way into you can see on the way into Indianapolis there, the right-handed just gets it a little bit wrong, and then unfortunately goes off and then loses his tyre. But yeah, so Yuki did get a DQ, but also because apparently his drive-through did not register. Ethan Funk is now half a second behind Ross Smith, and they're coming through the Copa de Boisson onto Maison Rond as before they go on to the pit straight here. Smith hanging on, but yeah, jumped off JT Tammy and Carl Vesa. I can tell you now, Bradley Sellers has hit the wall.
Ouch. Kyle Vesa just completely upside down. Bad day for Kyle Vesa. Kyle Vesa, good night. Adios. It was nice having you. You've now DNF'd, and I said it, if they survive the night, they'll be okay. And maybe I should have amended that a little bit and said if they can survive the battles with themselves. I mean, look at this. Watch this battle here. Bradley Sellers, JT Tammy, Kyle Vesa going through. Whoa! Kyle Vesa just completely lost the back end. There's now hay bales in the middle of the track. So that's probably not good. And I will say, again, I'm very glad we're in a simulation and not in real life. Because the guys in real life that did this had some big cojones. And they didn't race with seatbelts, James. They thought racing with seatbelts was safer than wearing a seatbelt. Fun fact.
Yeah, they did. They didn't have any in the car, and that was pretty much the problem. And if they did have anything, it would be a lap belt, and that didn't really do anything. So, yeah, Bradley Sellers trying to chase down JT Tammy now in that Corvette. As we know, he's going to be able to make it on one stop. Busanic is still got Dan Herlock behind him. We've got a replay on your screen here. This is Oscar Dancourt by the side. There's a recovering car at the bottom of that screen. I don't know who that was at that precise moment, but I can tell you now, Oscar Dancourt just ends up going into that mud version here. Right, we are still got 37 cars on the grid in the race, Brad, but the question will be, for how much longer do we have these 37?
Well, the harder these guys battle and the longer this race goes, the more cars we're going to lose. Because the thing is, it's 2 hours and 24 minutes. And if you're battling bumper to bumper the entire time, so we get a replay here with Mike Bell. And Mike Bell doing the classic running wide there and then just ramping the car over and takes the lawnmower approach to getting back on the track there in front of Oliver Day. But the more these cars battle, the more worn out these drivers are going to be. And I'm going to imagine we talk to Ross Smith or whoever wins in Div 1 and 2 between Busanic, Herlock, and Benica, they are going to be absolutely wore out by the end of this race. I mean, they have been pushing. This has not been a race of just, oh, I'm in the lead by 60 seconds, going on for anyone. Even if you look at like Chen and Angelitas, you see 40 seconds gap there, but Chen has been, I mean, deep in a battle with Nicholas Kirsten and Jason Whitehead, even though we're not really showing it because it's not a class battle. I mean, he's been right there up the bumper the whole time. Now watch this. Ethan Funk, JT Tammy, Bradley Sellers through. Again, if any of these guys win and you ask them how their race was, the first thing they're going to probably say is, I am tired.
And I agree. And I can tell you now as well, Magnus Dahlgren has dropped back a little bit after having an incident going through Dunlop where he hit the outside on the left hand there, and Magnus did do some wonderful spinning in the process, did Magnus Dahlgren. But Ethan Funk, JT Tammy, Bradley Sellers, these battling it out for the Div 3 second, third and fourth here. We've still got Busanic. He's still battling away. This is what happened to Magnus Dahlgren. He gets it all wrong going through Dunlop. One's wide, smacks the barrier, spins the car round, and unfortunately for him, he manages to keep it going in the right direction, but it depends on how much damage he's got on that car there as well, Brad, because even that crash at that speed, still dangerous enough in these cars, because obviously how fragile they would probably be. You know, don't get me wrong, they're probably made of sterner stuff than some of the GTPs and LMPs that we've got today, but you still can't go smacking them into barriers like that and expect them to hold on.
I mean, yeah, like, granted, they are made, of steel. They're, nice, hard cars, but you do end up where if you smack them hard enough at a wall, you've got plenty of internal components that can go wrong. They're built strong, but they're very fragile. It's not like modern cars where they're designed to take an impact and crumple apart. These cars were not designed to crumple, but they were held together very gingerly and sometimes duct tape. Duct tape and zip ties were what held these cars together at moments. Now, granted, in sim, I think they're a little bit stronger than that, but yeah, if you bump them the wrong way, it's game over. We're again just going to be watching here this battle. 8.5 seconds is what Ross Smith has on the battle on the main part of your screen here with JT Tammy, Bradley Sellers, and Ethan Funk. Down in the bottom right corner, you've got the pit straight coming up and continuing to just watch more cars come through. There's Giles Lalonde coming through in 22nd, and then further behind them is going to be a very, very close battle. And this is Kirsten with Timon Subic.
So, Elko Busanic is leading the Div 1, Div 2s by 38 seconds. Tom Mountjoy has just gone into the pits. I think you're going to see that name change, and this is where he's going to do that driver swap. Jerry Chen leading the Div 3 AMs over George Andelides by nearly 40 seconds, practically the same as 1 and 2. So I'm going to presume that Herlock and Benica have gone into the pits. Ross Smith and JT Tammy are 8 seconds apart. JT with Bradley Sellers, which is on your main screen as you can see it now. Let's have a look. Herlock did go in, Benica went in. That's why they've dropped back there, and it looks like we've lost another driver in Carl Vesser. He looks like he's done for the day here, but then again, after hitting what he hit, I am really not surprised.
Yeah, you take an impact like that, and it doesn't surprise me to see him out and gone for the day. Still watching this battle here with JT Tammy, Bradley Sellers, and Ethan Funk. This battle is, I mean, it's going to continue on, and now you've got Elko Busenik there that is going to become a lap traffic problem. So we've got a replay here of Craig Pullen. What has Craig Pullen done? Craig Pullen's done what everyone... I was going to say what everyone else has done and went lawn mowing, but then breaks it, it snaps to the right. Which is not what you want there. Straight into the wall. Gets the car back going, it looks like, but surely some big front end damage from that.
Did you see the initial build up to that? With
I did
Craig
not
Pullen?
see.
He come round the kink into Indianapolis, and his rear lefts were on the grass. He's gone to brake. He couldn't stop the car early enough. And then he's gone to slam the brakes, which of course has made it jetted off to the right-hand side. George Angelidis, well, I would say he was going to do the same thing there, but he ended up parking it over the mud. But yeah, Craig Pullen hit the left-hand side where George is on the grass, couldn't get the car stopped. Then he had to slam the brakes to try and get the car stopped, which then snapped the back end round. So unfortunately, if you're going to try and brake a car on the grass, you're going to expect some problems, and that is one of the problems from it, Brad.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's not really having a problem right now. Becky Ely. Becky Ely up into second place. Eduardo Benica is there in P3. So we'll see where Becky Ely can find her way forward in that Lotus 23B. Lotus 23B, it's a little bit slower on speed compared to some of the other Div 1-2 cars, but it looks like Becky's able to, muscle it around and stay pretty consistent.
Yeah. I think overall it's going to be Busenik's now into the pit. So this is where the gap is going to close at an absolute rate of knots. We've got Ely and Benica going up through Cara de Brousson, through the Maison Blanche. They're going to be coming on to that start-finish rate. If I was Benica at the moment, I would literally just stay there. You can see it's dropping down faster than an elevator with no brakes here, plummeting down. There is Busenik on the left-hand side of your screen. Keep an eye on him as these guys continue to fight. He's still not moving. He's still not going anywhere, and this could be Eduardo Benica taking his lead as he did pass Becky Ely, and now for Busenik, he's going to be down in third. What about Herlock? Herlock's 12 seconds back here as well. I'll keep an eye on that one as you can keep following the Becky Ely battle here, and it looks like Busenik this is going to be side by side almost with Dan Herlock, David Schunt. And did he make it out? He did make it out at the road in the end, but not, and I can literally say, by nothing, because these guys are free wide going down into the S's of David Schunt and Dan Herlock at the moment. It has just been absolutely mental.
Big battles all the way around. I am absolutely enjoying this. I mean, it's been crazy here. As David Schunt, we watch battling with Dan Herlock and Elko Busenik back in the background. Timon Suvic is up ahead, but again, Div 3 car will move away very quickly, and the battle here is very, very close. Becky Ely up ahead as well in the mix, now in the lead. JT Tammy in the bottom right corner and continuing to go through. That's JT Tammy, Ethan Funk. Then we're watching battle as Ross Smith has pulled out almost 10 seconds of a lead up front in this battle right here with Herlock. Busenik is going to continue on and continue on and continue on as David Schunt is also in the mix there, continuing to battle. But the battle for the lead in Div 1 and Div 2 is separated by a tenth of a second with Benica ahead of Becky Ely.
Benica's just taken Ely there and got it down. Busenik is still fighting out with Herlock as they're coming towards us. Benica has still got Ely literally nose to tail. You can see Schunt, Herlock and Busenik they're still nose to tail as everybody else seems to have been here. It's literally nose to tail from the Div 1, Div 2, first and second, nose to tail with third, fourth and fifth. And in all, there's battles all the way through this Div 1, Div 2 class, and they're really showing us where the action is here, because I can tell you what, the gaps in lead in Div 3 and Div 3 AMs are quite spread out at the moment.
Yeah, the gaps, Div 3 AM is very, very spread out. And when I say very spread out, I mean miles apart. Look at that, 136 seconds for George Angelides. Div 3 AM they're just running hot laps at this point. They are very much just enjoying their own race. But watch this, Becky Ely back on the back of Eduardo Benica there. And as we head through the Mulsanne kink and go through, can Becky Ely get this pass done is the question of the corner. And goes through, you can see that Lotus right on the back there of Eduardo in the Porsche 904. Doesn't get the pass done, but it's still just right there in the mix.
Yeah, we've got Div 1, Div 2 of Michael Locke and Eric Monet. Monet slowly closing back in. They're 1.5, I think, on battling away here. But it is all about the Div 1 and 2s. I think the Div 1 and 2 AMs are also going to have a great little battle. JT Tammy has got that gap down to Ross Smith down to 7.8, so clearly he's closing in. I think Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers are trying to come with him, but not quite managing it as well as normal. And JT Tammy's kind of left to try and drag them ones along, Brad, and that's not really easy when you continue to fight here, because, you know, JT Tammy, he's not a one-man machine. He can't pull everybody forward. They've got to try and do some of it themselves.
Yeah, but that's the thing is they know they need to do some of it, but they're not going to want to. They want JT Tammy to do the chunk of the pull for them, as you see Fernando there in the Div 1-2 just very, very politely slotting out of the way and then slotting back in. And Ross, I mean, Ross is just smooth driving right now. Ross is just very consistently hitting marks and going through. As we've gotten through the deepest part of the night, we're starting to see the sun start to come up very, very lightly again here at Le Mans as we go through. We're about to hit an hour left, and watch Ethan Funk try to get around JT Tammy again here on the right-hand side. Little bit of a move there. Who is deeper on the brakes? They're still side by side through the braking zone. You can see the backfire of the exhaust. Ethan Funk on the inside just slams the door shut on JT Tammy. A little bit of a tap there, but now we're back through. Ethan Funk has found his way up into second place, and again, this is helping none of them move their way up towards Ross Smith.
Yeah, no, the continued fighting isn't going to help anyone on that. I can tell you that much. I was expecting that gap. I'm surprised that gap has not extended a little bit there with Ross, because obviously considering they are fighting so much. But they're back running side by side with Ethan Funk and JT Tammy here, continuing to fight it out on this run as well. They're not giving it up. The Corvette C2. JT Tammy's off of the grass. He's on the grass. Ethan Funk's going to make it around the outside. Is he going to be able to get through? Bradley Sellers is in there. He can't get through JT, and they're going through. They survived Indianapolis. What about the right-hander of Arnage? They managed to survive that as well, Brad, but that was close action racing.
Yeah, and this racing is far from over. The more that we have these long speed sections into braking zones, which, newsflash, if you haven't figured it out after almost an hour and a half, is this entire track, you're going to continue to just watch these battles continue and develop, because you're going to have JT Tammy, who's going to try to make a charge up on Ethan Funk again. You're going to have Bradley Sellers, who wants to make the charge on JT Tammy. And watch those cars snap through. JT Tammy sliding his car through, and with a little bit of a run, as we get a replay here. And this is going to be Mr. Dave Kors yet again, sliding through, holds onto it, and taking the trademark lawnmower approach around the outside of the corner.
Yeah, then ends up over on the mud verge there, as you can see once more. JT Tammy is into the pit lanes. So JT Tammy is in. He's going to separate himself from Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers. As we heard from Ross, that should be JT's final pit stop. So for JT there, we're going to have to see if it is his final pit stop. That leaves Ethan Funk, Bradley Sellers. I can tell you now, Eduardo Benica and Becky Ely are still nose to tail here. And this is Tom Mountjoy. What's he got himself up to again? And that is, where are they at the moment? That is going down after the Mulsanne. And unfortunately just gets it all a little bit wrong for Tom Mountjoy there.
Yeah, and that's one of those that it's painful when something like that happens, but You just have to take it on the chin. Sun's starting to come up here. I think the drivers have made it through the worst part of the night. The DNFs as it stands: Kyle Vesa, John Mayer, Diego Castro, Alfredo Cabrera, Matthew Overton, Peter Myers, Santiago Dancourt, Brian Hall, Yuki Takanashi, and Reese Gardner are 2 disqualified. But as we go through, the sun's coming up. Everyone's made it through the nighttime in Le Mans, and this is going to be where things start to get interesting, as we have an hour and 5 minutes left to go, and this is the point where the drivers really need to make sure their head's screwed on straight and that they're ready to survive the next hour.
Yeah, that would be generally helpful. And I can tell you now, we're down to 35 cars here. After the initial 45, that's what we started with. So let's see who can make the most amount of recovery. You see Bradley Sellers and Ethan Funk just clear Tom Mountjoy. Great job from them. You've also got Mr. Smith's in a bit of a... He's in traffic at the moment. He's trying to weave his way through the Div 1, Div 2s. And the gap has come down partly due to the fact that Mr. Smith was stuck in traffic, Brad. It wasn't as close to playing straightforward as he'd hoped. He's still got Oliver Day in front of him, but now they've lost over 2, and he's lost 2.5 seconds at the moment as Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers are starting to get a little bit closer.
Well, and this is where things will start getting fun, is that now that traffic is really starting to play a mix for Ross Smith. Ross Smith is past Oliver Day, but remember, the gaps came down behind, but Funk and Sellers still have to make their way past the same traffic. So they will need to find their way through, because look at that. I mean, that's a sea of cars between them, even though the gap's 5 seconds, and it is closing. Ross Smith doesn't seem as fast. I'm trying to look and just see if my eyes are deceiving me, but as far as sector times go, he is running slightly slower than Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers. He is somewhat slower, even though he holds the fastest lap by a good chunk of time. The last 2 sectors he's ran, sector 1 he was a second slower, sector 2 he was a second slower. So whether that's traffic, if that's a little bit of strategy, whatever it might be, it's hard to say, because now you watch Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers go through, and I mean, they're just carving their way right through traffic. So I don't really know. I don't know what to make of it, as they all take a little bit of grass there on the right-hand side and slide through, and then there is a car stopped through. That's one of the Div 1-2s. I didn't see who exactly it was, though. Yeah, now we have a replay coming through. This is going to be Adam Gray, Craig Pullen there. Let's see, and a little bit of love there between Div 1-2 and Div 1-2 AMs as it sits. So it's interesting to see those sort of moments happen. It's not ones we usually see, but now you see Bradley Sellers, Ethan Funk yet again here. P2, P3, the gap, now that they've all cycled through that bit of traffic, back up to about 7 seconds, continuing to open up here.
Yeah, they're kind of starting to, Ross is starting to open up that gap a little bit more after they did the back marker cycle. Sellers and Funk, the battling's not going to help them whatsoever. They need to literally settle in behind each other, bump draft each other down the road. You know, for me, right about now, if I was Brad and Ethan, I would stop fighting. Literally stop fighting and just go after Ross as much as they physically can. They've got the straights to be able to do it here. There he is in front, slot him behind, push him along. Literally push him along and try and close that gap up, because fighting is doing him no good here, Brad. And I would be bumping and drafting all the way down using Mr. NASCAR technique.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's one thing for me and you to say that in the booth. It's another thing for the drivers to do it. You think any driver is going to be thinking, oh, yeah, let me just sit behind the guy for a while? Yeah. They should be thinking that, yes. And here's Barry DiMarzio. This is the car that was off to the side that I saw earlier when we were watching the battle, and I said I didn't know who it was. But, yeah, Barry DiMarzio, man, talk about totaling a Ferrari. Yeah, that's a way to total a Ferrari through. I mean, bounced one wall to the other wall through, and then just slams it through. Here comes Ross Smith through, and thank you for sitting still. Very, very good awareness there from Barry DiMarzio, letting them through. And here we go. This is Bradley Sellers. This is Ethan Funk yet again battling through side by side into the braking zone. It is Ethan Funk on the inside, Bradley Sellers to the outside. They go around. They're still side by side here. One of them's going to have to slot back in. One of them needs to slot back in, and ideally it should be Ethan Funk. Slot back in single file and just bump draft your way like it's Daytona.
Yeah, I don't get this. I understand if they were closer. And this is Timon Surik going down into the Mulsanne corner. He's going to go in deep, miss it there and try and turn the car, and then he's going to end up sideways just a little bit. It's almost one of them awkward half spins that he didn't quite finish off. I can tell you now that John Uyan just nearly had a moment in front of Brad Sellers. So there you go for them. And Brad did make his way through, but there was John Uyan as well. He did have a moment in front of him, so we will try and pick up on what happened to John Uyan as he's coming down into the kink, down into Indianapolis. He goes on the brakes, can't get the car stopped, and I believe on that one goes nosediving into the barrier, straight on the right-hand side. Not an ideal scenario for that car there.
Yeah, and then as he tries to rejoin, he's got Bradley Sellers and Ethan Funk there in the mix as well. So it's very unusual to see these cars lock up their brakes and slam to the right. That's not what I'm used to seeing here. As we watch Sellers and Funk continue to run through. Now they're going to have Monet for traffic, and Eric Monet is going to be just right there. What can you do to get around? Well, for Bradley Sellers, he says, I'll dive to the left down the pit straight. It's done. It's over. Thank you very much. Adios. And we'll continue going here. We are officially under an hour to go, James. As Scar pokes into the pits here, and Ross Smith, 7.8 seconds the gap here as we go. Under an hour left to go. What is going to be the key for the next hour?
Keep it on track. I will say one thing at the moment as well. I don't know if we're going to be able to find them to get the replay of this, but Fernando Ferreira and James Bowders. Ferreira coming down into Mulsanne, and Bowders just literally followed him. He literally just followed him there as well. James just must have got completely, I don't know, just tunnel visioned. Watch this. Fernando Ferreira goes in. It's almost like James reacts a little bit too late. You can see he goes in. Ferreira goes into the corner. Bowders just kind of almost follows him and then realizes, he goes, oh no, I'm not going that way. And unfortunately he goes and it's the thing. But yeah, that was a funny moment between James Bowders and Ferreira. I'm sure they're going to love me for calling out that one. But I did have a chuckle when I saw that the first time.
Well, and it shows, like, the thing is, with the straight so long, it shows how the drivers get hyper-fixated to the car ahead. And if the car ahead is focused on the car behind, and neither one of them think to pay attention to brake, you're going to have those moments. I love that. As we have a replay here, Oliver Newman with Mr. Marazzi. Oh, Filippo Marazzi, what were you trying to do there?
That was a misbraking point if I've ever seen one before in my whole entire life. For Marazzi. That could have been worse than it actually was, to be fair, but at least they both survived on that. Gaps are starting to appear, Brad. I don't know how much longer they're going to start appearing. I can tell you that one gap, or one little battle we've got going on, is David Gent and David Herlock in the Div 1, Div 2s. They're still fighting out for that second place. We've got Mike Bell, Magnus Dahlgren there on battle for that 8th and 9th. So you can see there on the right hand side is on the left hand side is Bell, on the right hand side is Magnus Dahlgren, and Bell does go through on that run through. Dunlop, Dahlgren, hold it. You've had a moment in Dunlop before, dear sir. Let's not get it all wrong. He's going to come in through the S's, through the left, right. I can tell you, if you've ever gone on an onboard through these guys through here, it's such a quick corner. Then on their run up into Tetra Rouge, the right-hander. Now, this one's a little bit more flowing on the modern-day circuit, but just keep an eye. They've got to brake a little bit more than they normally would. And now we're on the Mulsanne. It's full flat. Give it, Beans. Get the foot on the floor and really tell us what your car can do. Well, I can tell you one thing. Bell Shelby Daytona is going at 250-plus kilometers an hour as of right about now, and he's just shot that car up into 4th gear. 4 gears, car going north for 280 easily.
Yeah, these cars will hit a top speed of 320 kilometers an hour, is the fastest that I've seen, and that was from Ethan Funk when Ethan Funk was in the lead at the start of this race. Here's that onboard on the bottom right that we have there from Magnus Dahlgren with Mike Bell just ahead. I mean, look at this. As they head down through the Mulsanne kink, he's right there in the mix. Oh, and you can see just how floaty these cars are on their suspensions. I mean, they are just like, it's It literally, when they say float like a Cadillac, this is where that comes from this era of cars. Just absolutely floaty, and now they have to lock the brakes up and lock it down and break it down all the way into first gear there for Mulsanne. I mean, very, very slow.
Yeah, incredibly slow there. Unfortunately, they're going to be hard on the brakes here as we've disappeared over behind the trees. There they are, coming out in front of us. Ethan Funk, Bradley Sellers, still nose to tail through the left-hander, now into the right. Is so difficult. So difficult. This racetrack, these cars, this era, now they're going into Indianapolis on the right hand side. It's an incredible battle that they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, I don't see this battle ending anytime soon between Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers. I think this is going to continue for about another 54 minutes until one of them makes an error, if one of them makes an error. But they're both such good drivers, I can't see that happening. That's the thing. I can't see either one of them making an error to the point that it's going to end this battle. So it's just going to keep going. I do also want to point out that the top 5 are all Shelby Daytonas.
Yeah, kind of expected. I think that was the thing, wasn't it? We did say that it was expected that these guys would be at the top, and well, it's just proving that the Daytona is so strong in this sim at the moment.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch just how strong the Shelby Daytona is going through. I'm trying to work out pit stop strategy right now, James. The Shelbys have to stop again, correct? I'm not wrong in saying that, I feel.
No, you're not wrong.
So, when do they stop, I guess, becomes my question. At what point are these drivers going to stop and go through as we get the run here through of who is where with just a handful of time to go, 53 minutes?
Yeah, Ross Smith out in front here with Ethan Funk, Brad Sellers, Tom Lane, and Wilder Bruin there with JT Tammy, your top 6 with Timon Suvic, Mike Bell, Magnus Dahlgren, and Nicholas Kirstens in the Div 3s. I believe that is the top 10 out of the Div 3s. And then Jerry Chen, Dave Core, Jason White, George Angelidis, Barry DeMarzo. Then you've got Edward Benica, Dan Herlock, David Jen, Alko Busnik, and Gilles Lalonde in 20th place. On from there is Becky Ely, Michael Locke, Eric Monet, John Uyan, Oliver Day, Scar Pope, Adam Gray, Tony McCoffin, and Craig Pullen with Filippo Marazzi in your top 30. And then there's about 4 more, I believe, before we hit into the DNFs here. Fernando Ferreira, James Bowders, Tom Mountjoy, Oliver Newman, and Oscar Dancourt. After that, everybody is out. Vessa, Maya, Castro, Cabrera, Overton here. And then going on, if we are going to catch up with the bottom end of this, Peter Meyer, Santiago Dancourt, Brian Hall, Yuki Takanashi, and Reese Gardner. So, unfortunately, we've lost a few here. And Fernando Ferraro looks like he's also been having more moments of his own as he is just made a mistake. And he's done what everybody else has done, going down what looks like into Arnage.
Yeah, big moments there. Watch this battle. This is going to be Herlock and David Junt. This is the battle for P2, but now they've got Ethan Funk coming through with Bradley Sellers as Ross Smith. I said, when was he going to pit? When was the Daytona's going to pit? Ross Smith is in the pits right now with 51 minutes to go, so he's going to try to shortcut it here. This is the replay of Oliver Day. Oliver Day, brake, on the brakes a little late. Can he make the corner? Makes the corner through and just decides to mud the car a little bit. I don't think the car wants to go mudding, but tried it anyways.
Yeah, he definitely did. I can tell you the 2 leaders did make it through that traffic. That, of course, was Herlock and Junt. That's the 2nd and 3rd place in the Div 1, Div 2s. But 51 minutes remaining. We're out of the dark, at least. We can have no more issues with these guys, Brad, as they can settle in for these last 50 minutes. Who's going to come out on top, do you reckon?
Well, it's not going to be Ross Smith because I am showing Ross Smith as a DNF.
Oh, me too.
So, yeah, that's...
Oh, Indianapolis.
Well...
Oh, he got it wrong around the kink of Indianapolis. And he didn't make the corner, and it looked like he gets mounted on a bush. Replay here now of Ross Smith. He touches the grass, can't stop the car, goes round Indianapolis, and then it comes out the other side, and it is literally like he's mounted on a bush or something. He cannot get that car off. Unfortunately, Ross did DNF. That's freed up Ethan Funk, Bradley Sellers to battle it out here. And wow, Ross Smith must be kicking himself.
I have a feeling we're not going to hear from Ross Smith for the rest of the day, but now your battle for overall lead is separated by half a second. And then you've got the battle here. This is P2, Div 1 and 2 on your screen. As Dan Herlock decides to slide that car through. Is that going to open up the door for David Junt? And David Junt doesn't take advantage of it, so I don't know what to do there. Barry DiMarzo. We've talked about Barry a couple of times today in Div 3, and hard on the brakes. The Ferrari snaps the other way. And Barry DiMarzo manages to put the Ferrari left to right again. Ouch.
Barry is having a little bit of moment there, and unfortunately, I don't believe he has been the only one having moments either. Scar Pope in the Alpine has had a moment, funny enough, down into Indianapolis, and James Bowders this time going into Mulsanne goes in a little bit hot as well. But on your screen at the moment is the Dan Herlock battle commencing still, and they're still fighting out with him and David Jeune, and it's literally been non-stop here.
Yeah, it's completely not giving up. I'm loving this battle. Fernando Ferreira here is... Sir, there's a braking zone there, and then the aliens decided they wanted to have a conversation. Just picked him up for a moment and looked. But now he goes through no issue. Dan Herlock going around again with David Junt just right there. This is the battle for P2. They're 17 seconds off of Manika. And that is a big, big gap. So we'll see how that one ends there. Scar Pope sliding around yet again, and again taking that lawnmower move through Indianapolis. That I am going to trademark that as the lawnmower line if I can help it. So yeah, you heard it first on VWSC. Pit stops starting to happen here as we have cars coming down the pit straight. See cars in the pit lane to the left, cars down the pit straight on the right. This is Dan Herlock yet again going through. Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers here, and Ethan Funk running it up on the wall there in that Shelby Daytona, and now you've got Bradley Sellers there in P2 now in the slipstream. A little bit of pace. Watch that gap on your bottom right corner slowly close up as it goes. This is the battle again for the overall race lead. They have Tom Lane 8 seconds behind, and Tom Lane is losing time to them. So even though they're battling out as hard as they are, he's losing time. Watch this. Ethan Funk there trying to hold off Bradley Sellers in the Shelby. Shelby v. Shelby. Who wins it? Well, it's going to be a Shelby either way, James.
Yeah, it will be, but whether or not it's going to be Funk, whether or not it's going to be Sellers, we can only but find out there. I believe Mr. Smith is up and running again. That is what has just come through to me from the guys in the YouTube chat, and said that Ross is running, but he is going to be a lap down. Now, I don't know how right that is. I have got him, well, it is correct. Yeah, he's showing P13, so it is right that Ross is back out on track. Jason Whitehead in front of Smith by about 152.03 seconds.
Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing for Ross Smith is, you know, just get out and run for points at this point. It's not, I mean, I don't think there's any harm in just getting out and running and trying to get things going, because he still needs to earn points. He still needs to keep things going and move his way forward as he can. As we watch here, again, this is just, the battles keep going. We haven't gotten a break, the drivers haven't gotten a break, and it's 45 minutes left to go. So just set down. If you need popcorn, sorry, you don't have time to get popcorn at this point. The battle is going to keep going all the way through as we have Div 3, Div 1, Div 2, all mixed up together there in the mix. But meanwhile, this is the battle up front. Look at this. Ethan Funk, Bradley Sellers with Tom Mountjoy there. Down in the bottom right, it's Dan Herlock, David Junt, all the way through with Busenik. And just so many battles. They're trying to get past Mountjoy. I don't know where to look. I don't know how Paul knows where to look.
Yeah, it's just pointing out a car and hoping for the best there, because at the moment we've got people all the way very close together. Herlock, Junt, Busenik. We've got Wooer de Bruin who's just cleared these guys. Div 1, Div 2. Then you got Dave Course behind him. He's a Div 3. He's going to be looking at coming through on these guys as he's second in the Div 3 AMS at the moment. The Div 3 Pro of Wooer de Bruin has just got through, but these are continually fighting it out here. And they're continually scrapping. Into Indianapolis we go. The left-hander, short little blast up to Arnage. On the main screen is the leaders of the overall leaders of Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers. So that's the lead in the overalls. Then we've got the Herlock Junt Busenik battle now taking precedent over your screen. These guys are so close together that I think surely something can't happen.
You would think surely something can't happen, but I'm going to tell you right now, one, my name is not Shirley, and two, something is going to happen as it keeps going. Bradley Sellers here, again, just 0.2 of a second back, just trying to stay consistent. It's amazing to me how close this battle is. This is the battle overall, and you got to remember, this is a 2-hour, 24-minute race. We're 45 minutes to go, and they're separated by less than half a second. Now, that is what I call good endurance racing going through. And again, the same thing with Herlock and Junt back in the Div 1-2s. They're separated by less than a couple tenths back there. So we'll see how this goes as Ethan Funk and Bradley Sellers yet again are running down. The gap's opened a little bit here, but it's not going to stay open for long, as I think Bradley Sellers is really just trying to bide time. And again, the question I'm going to keep asking, when do these guys decide to pit in these cars?
That's like saying what's next week's lottery numbers.
Well, do you know them, James? Can you share them?
Nope.
Share them with me in DM? Oh, come on now.
I can send you 6 numbers. I can just make them up for you. I'm not necessarily going to mean that they're going to be right. But in an ideal world, they want to try and see if they don't have to. But if we are desperately saying that they will, well, it should be within the next 15 minutes, I would have thought. But that's just me. And on the main screen, Ethan Funk, Bradley Sellers, still now coming down into Mulsanne. The right-hander, Funk's getting all a little bit squirrely there. Sellers' Daytona looked a little bit more stable than Funk's did.
Yeah, and I think some of that might come down to setup, and I think some of it might just come down to driving strategy. I think Sellers has realized that this battle is going to go on another 42 minutes, and maybe he's decided to back it off just, 1%, 2%, whatever it may be that you want to quantify it, just enough that he's not just running up the tailpipe of Funk the whole time, and he can kind of relax a little bit. Now, I'll tell you who's not doing that, and that is Herlock right here with Junt and Busenik in the middle of them. It is indeed a Herlock sandwich as these three are running down the long Mulsanne straight. I don't even know what to say to this other than you've got to be really brave and really trusting of the cars around you to go through. Elko Busenik there in the lead of these three with Herlock and Junt right there. It's nose to tail. You couldn't fit a piece of paper between them.
No, Busenik in second, Herlock third, Junt fourth, JT Tammy's coming through. Look how quick the Div 3 is. He just absolutely breezed past these guys as if they were just absolutely nothing. Down into the Mulsanne turn they go once more. Busenik, Herlock, Junt, as they were, line astern through this part. What's going to happen now? They've gone through the Mulsanne. They've got another run down the Col de Gauche, Gulf even, as they're running down into Indianapolis, the right-hander once again. And we've seen that all go a little bit wrong at times here through that section. I can tell you now, Bradley Sellers and Ethan Funk were literally side by side, but back markers put paid to that as Zego running up into Dunlop here, but JT Tammy on his bike, he's in 5th, but here they come. The guys that have been providing the action in the Div 1, Div 2s. You can see on the bottom right there, that's the Hurlock battle, and then on the left is going to be the lead main battle of Bradley Sellers and Ethan Funk as they go up through the S's once more onto the Mulsanne. The guys in the bottom right coming down through into the Indianapolis, and then they're going to be left down into Arnage. It's battles all the way through, and have you noticed it's Div 3 AMs that are not really battling, and Div 1, 2 AMs that haven't really got battles going on, but yet the Div 3 pros, the Div 1, 2 pros going at it hammer and tong.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and I think the AMs might just be running for survival. Now, Locke and Monet, I think, are going to start battling in the Div 1-2 AMs here in a little bit, as Monet is a 1.5 seconds off of Locke, and that gap is starting to slowly close. But look at Div 3 AMs. There's only 4 Div 3 AMs running, and even when you look, their top 3, 171 seconds through. So the AMs are just, they're running the game of survival, but the pros are absolutely throwing the elbows out. This is James Bowders here in this replay, and sir, there was a braking zone about 50 meters back that you should have went to, and you didn't. So no harm, no foul. James Bowders turns it around, gets it back going again.
Yeah, but that's it. He's done that a few times. So if I was James, I'd kind of just back your breaking point up. Funk and Sellers are literally side by side. Busenik and Hurlock and Junt are going at it, and I believe Ethan Funk's got the inside down into Mulsanne, and Ethan Funk does go past Bradley Sellers and takes the lead. So Ethan Funk now leading the overall. For how long? We don't know, but for a minute, he's out in front.
Yeah, we're under 40 minutes to go here, so that pass could be key for Ethan Funk to get ahead of Bradley Sellers. But the thing is, he's ahead. Now he's got to defend it, and he's got to hold it. And we've got to see if he can do that. And I think the question isn't if he can do it, it's how is he going to do it. Because that is going to be the big problem. Magnus Dahlgren here, Mike Bell. This is the battle for P6 in Div 3s that is continuing. And I mean, look at that. Mike Bell locking up the brakes hard as he goes through. He's going to run it a little bit wide, and Magnus Dahlgren is just going to take advantage, send it around through the side, and now they are going to flip-flop positions. Magnus Dahlgren is now ahead of Mike Bell and is now your new P6 in Div 3. They've got Becky Ely there. Becky's in 5th in Div 1-2, has had a nice little relaxed race. Isn't doing anything too crazy. Is just trying to make it to the end of this race, I feel. But as we continue going, it's still this battle, Busenik, Hurlock, and David Junt, that is just continuing through and will continue through for probably the next 38 minutes and 1 second.
Yeah, I reckon. I don't think they're going to be too far apart. Is when, if they have, are they going to do this final pit stop, and are they all going to cover each other off? That's going to be the interesting thing, in whether or not they would look to cover each other off, or whether or not they would try something different. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to be able to try here or what they're going to be able to do, but the leaders on the left hand side are going in. Ethan Funk into the pits. We did say there was another pit stop. Your bottom right hand corner, Busenik gets it all wrong. Hurlock's going to make it through, I think. Is Alco Busenik going to manage to hold on? He's not at the moment through the Mulsanne. They go the right hander now down the second Comrade de Golf down into the right hander at Indianapolis. It's going to be very close, but I think Hurlock's just sat there patiently, Brad, waited. Busenik made that mistake. He's opened a door up for Junt. If Junt really wants to follow Hurlock through, he can. I would sit in behind Dan Hurlock. Busenik's just got the run around the outside again. Busenik retakes that position away, retakes that second place, and these three just not leaving each other alone. Is he going to get it stopped? Busenik, he's surely got it too hot. Not this time, and they all managed to make it through Indianapolis without any problems.
Yeah, very, very close driving for these three, and it's not going to stop, James. 36.5 minutes, it's not going to stop. So until one of them makes a mistake, and the thing is, these are three very, very strong drivers in Div 1-2, so I don't anticipate a mistake. And there you go with Mike Bell, Magnus Dahlgren not far behind, so you're getting ready to have the problem where they're going to have Div 3 traffic coming in the mix as well, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do about it, as we see Wouter de Bruin here, who is ahead of Ethan Funk, not by much, by about 2 seconds, going through. So you've just got to watch these battles continue and run on. I'm curious to see how that battle with those three ends. Surely one of them is going to make the move for the pits here, if not now, within the next 2 laps. So we'll see what happens as they're coming down the pit straight now. We'll see if any of them decide to pit this time by. Maybe all 3 pit this time by.
No, I don't. I'm here. I was watching anxiously to see if any have been. No, if anybody pulled in. Busenik did not. Eduardo Benica did. He went in. That's freed Busenik, Herc, and Schunt. So this now is a battle for a lead, and then Mike Bell is coming out there, and he's going to be, well, he's right in front of him, but he won't be by the time they get through the S's onto the Mulsanne there. And Mike Bell should use the power of that shell being gone as they slide it round the corners there. Makes it look very, very dramatic. That he's going to come out through Tetra Rouge's Mike Bell, and then he's going to be gone like a rocket. So, as I say that, he gets it all a little bit wrong and holds up Busenik as there's 2 random bumps on that piece of track there.
Yeah, Mike Bell is, just trying to go away. And the thing is, if you are Busenik, Herlock, or David Junt, you need to just slot in and try to use as much slipstream as you can from Mike Bell. Obviously, he's going to have the pace difference to take off, but you got to watch him and see what happens here. Our leader is going through lap traffic as it sits Bradley Sellers. 34 minutes left to go. Tons of action has happened. I don't feel like it's been almost 2 hours now, James, but it has. It's been almost 2 hours of racing, and at this point, you got to wonder, is driver fatigue going to start playing into the mix?
Yes. I don't know about anybody else. I'm tired already. And that's it. I think as you get to our age, I don't think I can do this because, these guys got more stamina than I've got. Constantly driving the wheel for this period of time. This is why, I kind of leave out of the endurance situations. But, yeah, especially when you're at it like this. This is the thing. They're not just battling. They are fighting and fighting and fighting constantly. They've swapped positions. They're back swapping positions. They're still swapping positions. There's going to be more swaps of positions as they come down into the Mulsanne. It is going to be literally who has who's not tired. And Fernando Ferreira has gone into the Mulsanne and looks like he's just run it. He's become very friendly with that mud hill as well. I don't know if he's got like vegetables or something growing there, but he's become very friendly with that hill.
Yeah, him and that hill are best friends through, and it's been interesting to watch. I have to wonder, with kind of hitting that comment about the drivers getting tired, for these 3, how does it affect their battle? Do any of them decide to bow out? I know the answer to that is no, but you got to think, if you're one of these 3 drivers, this has been going since the green flag dropped. Since the green flag drop, we've pretty much saw these 3 in a battle, whether it's the battle for P2 or the battle for the lead, that they have just continued on and on and on. And none of them seem to want to lift or hold up. And I don't know about you, James. Well, I do know about you because you just said it, but I would be absolutely tired of just battling over and over and over. So they need to do something different. One of them needs to try an undercut. One of them needs to do the overcut. One of them needs to try to find a different strategy to go through, as we saw Ross Smith on the screen there. So Ross Smith, currently P11 in Div 3. He's back out there after his moment. What could have been for Ross Smith?
Yeah. And to know what's worse, he's probably done the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the one time he gets it wrong, we've seen others get it wrong and they've managed to keep hold of the car. He gets it wrong and, well, it's game over. He got stuck and he had to reset back. So, yeah, tough break for Ross, to be blatantly honest. And I think going forward, maybe it's something he'll learn. I don't know.
Well, and the thing is, I said it, you've got to drive this circuit flawlessly for 2 hours and 24 minutes, which is a tall ask for anyone, even strong drivers, as we go through. Oliver Day and John Ewan have had some sort of a moment, as I hear Paul in my ear going, ooh. We'll see if we can get a quick replay. And
you're on straight. They're on a straight.
Oh no.
We're simply getting a little bit closer here, but that. It's really sad because it looks like John Uyan, and then they go across noses there. Look, you just about see it on a straight.
That's just.
Well, we'll leave that for discussion, I think, on that one. As I'm completely ignoring something that's just been said in my ear. I'm just ignoring it, so we'll go back to the prediction battle.
All right, well, Paul has managed to derail this race with 30 minutes to go.
Moving on. We're just going to, ignore it.
See, here's the thing that's fun with this. 30 minutes left to go, right? You all cannot hear Paul literally serenading us in our ear. I wish you could. I need Paul to forget to mute his mic one of these days, so that way you all can hear what we hear, because there's moments where Paul is just fully serenading us through. And it is, it's interesting when he does that. It's very, very great. And I'm not going to lie, I enjoy it. I do love you, Paul.
I don't. There's a reason I don't, and that's generally because I end up with cats outside my window when he starts. So he's that high pitched. I end up with all the little strays outside my window. Lucky enough, it's not open, otherwise you'd hear them there. But look, back to the racing situation there. Yeah, Kim, I think they're going to be. There's going to be looked at on whichever way that works. Stacey, I'm not too sure if there was a cut across the nose, or I'm not too sure if there should have been a little bit of a lift to avoid what happened there with John Uyan, but we'll have to see what happens. And this is Craig Pullen doing something dramatic in his Alfa Romeo Giulia.
Oh! What was that? That was disgusting. Oh. And this is the moment where James Parfit decides if he wants to get fired or not.
You know
we won't
what?
discuss blue flags.
No. I'm not going to worry about that. If you go on board on JT Tammy, he's gone to the outside, and it looks like Craig has come over the yellow line. So you might want to look at that from the onboard of JT Tammy from the driver cam, because he goes to go to the outside, and then it does look like Craig's come over. So I'm not making a judgment. I would love to go on a blue flag rant, but I just can't, because I'm not entirely sure whether or not there was no room left. JT Tammy was all the way to the left. Get that on the board with JT Tammy of his driver cam, and you will see what I mean about it on that one. So I'm not entirely sure if that would go both, which way that's going to go, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, JT went to go out to the left, and it does look like Craig comes over the yellow line. Marazzi's also had a trouble again. Filippo Marazzi, unfortunately, nearly visited a side of a oil shop or whatever's on the left-hand side there, coming up through Tetra Rouge. But yeah, not entirely sure which way can be blamed for that one, but I think you'll need to watch the replay of the onboard of JT Tammy.
See, this is the fun about being in the commentary booth and not being a steward, is that I don't have to make the final decision. I just get to go, that was rough. But back to the racing on the screen, Busenik and Herlock battling it out very, very hard. Sellers is into the pits, our overall race leader. 45-second gap there. I'm trying to think where Sellers is going to come out in the mix of all of this. As we get a replay real quick here.
This is the onboard.
Yep. Okay.
You need to go, if we get a steering wheel, because you'll see it there. You'll see more of the situation and what happens and how Craig comes over. So it's a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I wouldn't necessarily sit back and say, but look, have a look for JT Tammy's part here. And you'll see him just come over a little bit past the yellow line as Tammy goes to go past, right? He goes left. Now Tammy's looking around the outside. He goes left. Pullen's over the yellow line. So... I'm not entirely sure what's going to be the best way on that one.
Yeah, I don't know how that one's going to be judged either. That's going to be one to kind of... I'll be curious to see how they judge that one in the steward's room, if they look at it in the steward's room, of course, and see how that one goes. Nick and Herlock are still running. We lost Dancourt somewhere, so we've got another driver out as we go 25 minutes to go.
I can tell you what happened to Oscar. He got it all wrong. Going through what looks like Tetra Rouge and melts the mud pile and then doesn't actually go anywhere else for Oscar Dancourt. So he's another one that is out. It's going to be on your screen. You'll see him come up here on the right-hand side. He just gets it all wrong and unfortunately ends up in the mud wall. So unfortunately for Oscar Dancourt, he is part of the DNF.
Yeah, probably not what you want to do here. Look at this that's going through. George Angelides there in the mix with Dan Herlock and Busenik in through. George Angelides has made his way through and now needs to try to build a bit of a gap to them because these two are battling overall. And, a little bit of a bump there. It looked like Busenik got a little bit swirly. Maybe a little bit of a bump from Herlock. It's hard to tell as we continue through here is another replay.
We'll have a look and see. There's Ross Smith in front of us. Here's John Uyan. He's got smoke coming out the back of that. He has just gone kapoof. So John Uyan is another DNF. That brings us down to a final count of what should be, I think, 33 drivers. So John Uyan has just lost his car there. Unfortunately, he's another one. He joins the DNF list.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, he's not going to be happy about it. You've ran 2 hours of a 2-hour, 24-minute race, and that is how that race ends. That is ouch. That is nothing but ouch.
This is Marazzi's, what we were talking about earlier on. He did the same thing practically as Dancourt. Gets it all wrong over the mud hill. I'd love to call it a safety barrier, but it really doesn't do anything. And then he nearly ends up in the oil building on the left-hand side. So, yeah, I'm being told my English wasn't correct. Apparently, it should have been called a mound. I like mud hill.
Mud hill.
Mud hill.
It's a hill made of mud. It's a mud hill.
Yeah, or you could make or a mud safety barrier if you really want to be pedantically precise.
Why use 3 words when 2 words will do the trick? No. Bradley Sellers has a 17-second lead in Div 3. Where did Bradley Sellers get a 17-second lead from? And Paul wants us to look up the definition of the hill in YouTube chat. I would like you to know that Paul has decided to die on the hill, that we cannot call that a hill. So with that being said, I will be calling it a hill until the end of this race.
Oh, gee whiz, Batman.
22 minutes to go, James.
Some days I do feel like I'm at kindergarten when he's in my ear roll. It feels like being told off by the teacher. You know what I mean?
Stacy Scott's game says it could also be a berm.
Or a berm.
A mud berm.
No, can we just clarify? We'll just call it a mud barrier. Jobs are good. There. Mud pile, that works better. As we're going to go to a replay here of somebody doing something that they're not supposed to be doing on the racetrack, and that's Dave Coors. Gets it all a bit wrong coming down into Mulsanne. And then he does a nice little 360 to get it back on track. So there we go.
Yeah, good little flick of the car to get it back on track. and go through. Let's catch back up on the battle of Eco Busanik and Herlock there as Craig Pullen starting to come into the mix. Oh, Craig Pullen, of course, is P11. He's a way down and going through. So we'll see how that goes. Tom Mountjoy there is up. He's P5. I don't know in terms of pit stops. I'm looking through. Sellers has done 2 pit stops. Lane has done 2 pit stops. Funk has done 2 pit stops. They're all good. JT Tammy has only done 1 pit stop in the Corvette, but he waited so long to pit that I don't think he's going to need to pit again. Wooder Bruin isn't going to need to pit. I think the next person that needs to pit is Nicholas Kirsten and P6 in that Ferrari 250.
Yeah, we were told that JT Tammy should be able to go 1 in the Corvette. So I'd just like to read you some very important information given to me by a very important person in my life at this moment in time. A hill is a piece of land that rises higher than everything surrounding it. It looks like a little bump in the earth. Since hills are higher than everything around them, they provide good vantage points for enjoying scenic views. Unlike mountains, hills are easier to climb, but they are less steep. Now, I don't know about you, but if we're classing that as a hill, that is the smallest hill I've ever seen in my life on the corner there of Mulsanne. So I'm not being rude. I'm not going down a hill. I'm just going to go mound or pile or anything in that conjunction then. Okay? So well done, Mr. Paul Glover, for correcting me on that one. It is clearly a small mound of mud on the outside of the Mulsanne corner. No drama.
See now just for principle, I have to call it a hill. Just for the principle that calls it a hill.
You'll upset him. You're upsetting. We're never going to hear the end of it. Here's the replay of the start of this race, guys. This is how these 45 kicked off here. Oh, dearie me. I do sometimes wonder. And you can see, obviously, all of a sudden, all the cars will start to go when we are under green. I'm keeping an eye on the Busanik Herlock battle. There you go. Yeah, we had Yuki Takanashi who jump-started the start. He then went in to do his drive-through. Thought he cleared the drive-through, and unfortunately it didn't clear. I can tell you now, Barry DiMarzio has had a right proper rough time of it. He gets it all run down into the mud mound at Mulsanne. So unfortunately for Barry DiMarzio, but that is the very chaotic start. All them names just look well mounded together. We could probably take them off now. It's daytime, to be fair, here as well. So there we go.
We could, but I do also like them being on there, so that way it's easier to tell what drivers are who. So
it does make it a little bit easier. I think that's the thing sometimes. When drivers change their liveries, it does make it a little bit easier for us to recognise who they are. Yeah. I think, when it's dark, as it was, we needed them. Because me and you, we were like two blind men rooting around in the dark. So, but I can tell you now, Busanik and Herlock are still locked in nose to tail here and are not leaving each other alone. Closest battle on the racetrack here, Brad, and these guys just seem to, well, I wouldn't be surprised if they come over the line in formation like the Ford GTs did in the 66.
Honestly, they're so close, it would shock nobody at all if they do. And the biggest thing for Busanik is he's got to trust that Herlock knows how to use the brakes on that car. And have you noticed that all the gaps have seemingly just opened up out of nowhere except for these two? It's a 15-second gap between Sellers and Lane. It's another 7-second gap between Lane and Funk. So I don't know what's happened, but there has been some big messes somewhere that have caused something. But Busanik and Herlock, nose to tail, just millimeters away from each other. Again, you literally couldn't fit a sheet of paper between them, and they are just holding together right there. The question for me, when does Herlock want to try to make this pass? Is Herlock going to hold on for another 16 minutes behind and go for the pass right at the end, or is Herlock going to try to get the pass and then defend it? Which one is he more comfortable with?
I would save it. Save it to the last lap. Why try and pressurise a situation that if he can just stay there, he doesn't have to? It's a risky game, right? We know that. Doing anything on the final lap's always risky. But for me, There's no reason for Herlock to even go anywhere. Why bother?
Yeah, it's
It's why bother?
yeah.
He's going to get, if he goes and overtakes him, look, in a logical term, right? He'll overtake him down the Mulsanne. He'll go down through turn 7, right? So here we are now. We're going down the Mulsanne. Is Herlock even going to think about pulling out whatsoever? So he might look at going down into the Mulsanne and he'll get the turn done as they're coming in, right? As we got a replay here as well. That looks like Bradley Sellers, if I'm not mistaken. Going off. It is Bradley Sellers. Yes, he's gone off at, funny enough, the Mulsanne. So Herlock's still tucked in there. He goes through the kink. Now they're going to run down into the Mulsanne, and we will pick him up, I'm sure, on the screen of Herlock and Bussenink, if we can. And see how they go on down into this Mulsanne here. And Herlock sits in behind him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think Herlock is just going to sit there and go through. There's a couple of options for what he's doing. He could just be saving fuel. He could be waiting till the last lap. Or he could just be trying to relax. I mean, he's been in such close battles the entire race that he may just be trying to hold on through and run through later so that way he can try to just do, another splash and dash and go. We'll see what happens here. We've got another replay. This is Oliver Newman and Jason Whitehead. Oliver Newman into the dirt mound and then misses the mound and goes straight into the wall.
Yeah, unfortunately. So there we go. Into the flower bed on the left-hand side of the Mulsanne there for them guys. So, yeah, unfortunately, not good whatsoever. And as we still tucked in, we've still got Herlock and Bussenink climbing all over the back of each other and no one going really there. Tammy is a legendary fuel saver. He is, but the C2 had such a massive tank on it, there was not a chance he would need to do more than one stop there, Ryan. So, although he is a legendary fuel saver, he really didn't have to probably do much in that Corvette because it was so full that he had extra for days.
Yeah, that is the perk of the Corvette, is that you can just kind of run through and go. So I'm kind of amazed at how few pit stops we've really needed here for most of these cars. And 1 to 2 stops. A couple of people have done 3 stops, probably not by their choice. Ross Smith, one that has done 3 stops, not by choice. Barry DiMarzo has done 3 stops, not by choice. Becky Ely has done 3 stops, but it doesn't surprise me because the Lotus we know is a little bit fuel struck in here. As we have another replay. What is this moment going to be? This is Wouter de Bruin. And what has Wouter found himself into? Wouter has found himself into a turn 1 catastrophe here, as we see, and that's a wall, my friend. You don't want to hit that like that, and the car just doesn't let go. The car said,
No.
I like this wall. I take nap right here.
Yeah, it's just grabbed. That's weird. I'm not quite sure what he does after that. It looks like his car has a bit of a epic moment. As Newman, I can also tell you now, Felipe Marazzi was a little bit slow going down through the Mulsanne. That was because he had Oliver Newman on his inside. No real dramas for Felipe Marazzi. Just Oliver Newman was alongside him. He couldn't make the turn. He had to slow right up. Bussenink and Herlock, guess what? Will de Bruin as DNF. That's another one. We are now down to 32 drivers. Whoever said 30 earlier on could be close. Stacey, was that you who said 30 early on? Here as well.
11 minutes, 25 seconds to go, James. As we go through.
I just want to all let you know as well. Coming up, we've got the 4.8 hour of Le Mans. If you're sitting there thinking how lovely it has been listening to me and Brad do 2.4 with Paul in our hero, you should come and join us for the 4.8 on June the 8th. Yeah, plan it in, see how it goes, because I can guarantee you it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, that one's gonna be fun. Maybe we can get Paul to unmute his mic for that one and have some conversations in the mix. That way, chat can hear what we hear.
Yeah, I think Paul should give us control of his mic, because then that way, when he's singing in our hero, we can go and put him on the broadcast.
Bum 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 ba-dum, bum 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 ba-dum, bum ba-dum, is what he was just doing, chat. That's all you have to know. He was just doing that just so softly while we were trying to talk. Oh, and now he's telling me that I got it wrong. James, we're 10 minutes to go here, James. We're 10 minutes to go. Back to the racing.
Ross is DNF'd.
Again?
Ross is on fire in the pit lane. I kid you not. He is on. Yeah, he is on fire in the pit lane. Is Mr. Smith. So his race is done and dusted. There's flames coming out the front of that Shelby Daytona. I wouldn't mind. There is somebody stood right next to him, just smiling quite happily. Ross is rolling back completely on his own. If you go in the cockpit with him, you can see the fire at that point was completely engulfing the front end. And as long as he got out the car, okay, that's all that matters. And then he starts rolling back. Yeah, and then he starts rolling backwards in a minute as well, and passes a very smiley guy on the hands. Look at the guy on the line. We just skipped away. Get back in board. There's another lovely guy smiling on the right hand side there of Mr. Ross Smith's downfall. So unfortunately, Mr. Smith is into the bits. There, he come aboard. He's on the left there. So there we go. Great action all the way through. Bradley Sellers is now is in front of the dip freeze. Jerry Chen leading the dip free arms. Bustanik now leading the 1-2s. It looks like Herlock has been into the pits. And Herlock has been in, so that could mean that Bustanik's got to be in as well. And McCulloch is leading Div 1 and 2 arms here by all comfortable situations.
Yeah, 8 minutes left to go, and I think a lot of the drivers have just sort of said, all right, this is survival. We made it through the night. We've done the hard stuff. Like, let's make it to the end and let's go through. If you're Ross Smith, you're probably not going to be in a good position to talk. I don't even see that Ross Smith is around anywhere. I was trying to look to see where Ross Smith is so we can try to ask him what happened. And I have a feeling that Ross Smith has probably totaled out his sim rig and frustration, because 7 minutes left to go, and you DNF in that way, it's frustrating. But look at this, Becky Ely and Giles Lalonde. This is a battle, less than a tenth of a second going down the pit straight. Can that Lotus find its way around the Porsche? Looks to the left, wants the outside through turn 1. Can Becky make it stick? Can she make the outside line work? She does not on this occasion, but 7.5 minutes left to go. Probably just 2 more laps for them, and oh, there's a big mess up on the braking. Becky Ely taking advantage of it.
Lalonde, he got it all wrong. He ends up on the mound on the left-hand side. Does Gilles Lalonde. That's freed up Becky Ely to escape. Gilles does get going again, but that did free up Becky to escape away from Gilles there as well. Gilles Lalonde just got it all Pete Tong, and unfortunately that is the situation done and dusted. The gaps are now fairly spread out here, Brad. We've got 6.5 minutes remaining. Where is Bradley Sellers? Well, he's coming up to lap, believe it or not, Wouter de Bruin in 13th place in the Div Freeze. So Bradley Sellers coming up to lap him. Who have we got here? This is that Gilles Lalonde? Yeah, watch after the exit, Brad. He just gets it all a little bit wrong. The car snaps and puts him straight up the hill.
Yeah, he tried to hold on to it too. I'll give him credit. He was trying to hold on to it, and he almost did. And then when the car caught grip, he had the wheel facing the wrong direction and just sent it around through and out. So Sometimes that happens, though. Sometimes it is literally a case of catch it one way, and then it snaps the other, and there's nothing you can do. But for Becky Ely, going to be very, very happy about that, as I think that will secure Becky Ely the top 5 on a very long, grueling race.
Yeah, it has been a very tough race here for everyone, to be honest. I don't think it's just Becky. I think this is just absolutely everybody has had a tough race. So that is Tom Mountjoy, I believe, on the left-hand side there, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, great action all the way through, I think. You can safely say that this has been a very interesting evening of racing, but it kind of has... It's like a Chinese firework display. You've got the little fizzle, then you got the big bang, and now we've just got that little fizzle again to the end of the race, I think.
Yeah, again, with just 5 minutes to go at this point, there's no sense in doing anything crazy or risking your entire race unless you are in the position to get something done. 32 cars left to go. You really just want to finish. Sorry, correction. 31 cars left as we see Fernando Ferreira there just absolutely get it wrong. Slam the wall, and I believe that Fernando is out as well. So 31 cars out of the 45 that started have survived the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. And I can hear somebody somewhere saying, well, that's not a lot of cars. That's a lot of DNFs. Just remember that in real life, these historic Le Mans, like half of the field would very oftentimes not finish. You would very often see dozens upon dozens of DNFs through, because this is a grueling, grueling race. We just condense it here.
That's the thing. You would have so many DNFs, and it would not be the first time that you've lost 10, 11, 12, 13 cars. Mike Bell there over the mound. So Mike Bell there in the Div 3 just gets it all a little bit too wrong. And it wouldn't be a shock to read in the newspaper the following morning some drivers died somewhere because of this race. You know, it's like the Isle of Man TT. At some point, it seems to happen every year. But that's the thing with this race itself. There was no logical thinking into A, whoever come up with it. B, the drivers were only generally in teams of 2. So they would be 4 on, 4 off, 4 on, 4 off, 4 on, 4 off. And they would literally sleep in the garage because there was nowhere for them to go. And that's the thing with a race of this sort of situation and this mentality and that makeup back then. It was, if you come out of this alive or come out with your car in one piece, you did blinking well. So, you know, these guys have done well to complete this race. And it's been absolutely amazing. We will probably, depending on what Bradley Sellers wants to do here, he's on that Mulsanne at the moment. It depends how close this is going to be. What was Brad's last lap? It was a 3:37. So this could be mightily close to the final lap if Brad just backs off a little bit.
And he's got 5 seconds in pocket. If he wanted to back off, he could just a little bit and make this the final lap. But I have a feeling that he's not going to do that at all. I have a feeling he is going to just kind of hold on to it and go. Because you can see Tom Lane is behind Wouter de Bruin there. They're not that far off. And if Tom Lane can just slipstream a little bit there, he can try to catch up to Bradley Sellers. And granted, again, it's 5.6 seconds of the gap, but that's not that much right now. With 2 minutes, 17 seconds to go on a track of this length, it's possible, and he was nearly a second quicker last lap around, so you could possibly see, depending on how cheeky Bradley Sellers wants to be, you could see some last lap action here for the win overall. 2 minutes left to go on the clock here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's going to be, he's up through Mulsanne, he's going through Corbe de Golf. It's the same with the Div 1, Div 2, Busnick and Hurlock. They're about the same gap apart as the leaders. You see Bradley Sellers, Jerry Chen, Elko Busnick and Michael Locke at the moment lead the classes. They're on their run through down into Indianapolis and Arnage. It's like a minute and a half to go. There's the leader of your Div 1 and 2 AMs. That's Michael Locke in front in that number 2 machine. So this is going to be very, very interesting. Lane has cleared the Bruin. It's down to 4.8. This is literally going to be on the verge of touch and go. Like, is he going to get there or is he not for the final lap? This is going to be seconds apart on this one. We'll try and keep an eye on this. Apologies if we get it wrong, because it is going to be very, very close in conjunction with that minute lap time. He's going to the left down Corbet de Brosson. Now he's going to be into turn 15 into Maison Blanche very shortly, which is the left and then right. 40 seconds now through there. We think Tom Lane might be on fire. He didn't slow it down enough. There is going to be one more, and Tom Lane is going to have one more crack at the whip there if he can, getting onto the back. There's smoke coming out of Lane's car. There is literally smoke coming out of Tom Lane's car out of his Shelby Daytona on the final lap of the race. Can he get it to the end? Where is that? Because he's got sparks coming out as well.
I don't know what's happening to him, but he needs to make one more lap around it. I thought he was locking up the brakes. No!
He's lost it. He's lost.
Oh.
McCuffin. Lane lost it.
And that is the engine failing, all the tires locking up, and him going around. So Tom Lane is done. Bradley Sellers has a 64, 66, 69. He's got a huge lead that is just continuing to open up here.
Yep, it all locked up, engine seized, and unfortunately everything went. And that is it. That will bring us down to the 30 finishers. So well done if you picked 30 there, Stacey. Congratulations. And it's 30 finishers. Tom Lane is a DNF. Tom Lane is a DNF. Final lap, engine seized up, everything locked up. He had nowhere to go, and it's all just unfortunately gone wrong for him. It's also gone wrong for Eric Monet. This is on board here of that incident. You just see it all of a sudden just all lock up on him. There we go. There he goes. He's just got these. He might as well just ride that out, mate. He's literally no more than a passenger with hopefully a lap belt on.
Yeah, Tom just put in YouTube chat, engine went bang and locked my rear axle.
Yep.
How he could have taken out so many more cars with that. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do to trying to catch that either. So Tom Lane, just great heads-up driving. It's unfortunate to see it end at the end of 2 hours and 24 minutes like that, but that is... Sometimes it happens. I mean, there's nothing you can do on a mechanical failure like that. There's nothing you can do. So that is that. Nathaniel McPhee is the one that predicted 30 cars.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Am I psychic? I don't know. If you give me the lottery numbers for this weekend and they win, then I definitely will call you psychic. So there you go. Barry DiMarzio looks like he's just had an horrendous day, his poor old Barry. We can't impound his misery anymore. Bradley Sellers is coming round Indianapolis now. The thing for him is... Oh, no, he has just lost that place to Nicholas Kessler. I was going to say he almost still finished in 4th there, but I think he could be down in 6th by the time he gets this done for Tom Lane. Bradley Sellers through Renage for the final time. Then he's going to be coming down the Corbet de Brosson before he goes into Maison Blanc and then over the line. And it will be done and dusted for Bradley Sellers, who ended up in the end 28 seconds ahead of Ephon Funk with JT Tummy behind him. And wow, could have been well different though, Brad. Completely different.
You know, what's interesting to me is you see the gaps on the board, you see the times, but this does not tell the story of this race at all. We watched for every minute of this race, except for, I'm going to say, the last 10 minutes. There were at least 4 to 5 cars battling. There was at least battles somewhere in Div 3 and Div 1.
Comes over the line. Bradley Sellers wins the 2.4 hours. Everyone for the Div 3s. He takes the victory after what has been absolutely epic. Jerry Chen is going to lead the Div 3 AMs. George Angelidis went into the pits on the final lap there. I'm probably guessing that so he doesn't have to do another lap. Whether or not he got out in front, that would be the question. But Jerry Chen is going to come over the line in that Ferrari 250 GTO. And he's going to wrap up that win in the Div 3 Arms. Elko Brusnik is on his way round the Mulsanne, the right-hander. Where is Michael Locke? He looks like he's come over the line as well. So in the Div 1-2, Michael Locke wins. And then it should be Jerry Chen. There we go. Here comes Jerry Chen now. So well done to Locke. Great job from him with Monet, but Jerry Chen wins the Div 3 Arms. So great job by him as well. And then Elko Brusnik will be the last one over the line for the Div 1, Div 2s. Man.
That was a good race through. Elko Brusnik did go into the pits for just a moment there and is going through. He has a 5-second lead through on Herlock. So, man, James, I don't know what you say other than just what a race. Like, and the thing is, like I was saying right before the finish, the gaps don't tell the story at all about the action of that race.
No, they definitely don't. And I think it's not... This area of the race is not really a true representation of what me and you have just watched. I think that's the thing. There's been action, there's been fuel strategy, there's been everything in conjunction with this race. Who's going to need to go in and do a splash and dash? Clearly, Brusnik felt he needed to, otherwise he was never going to get there. You know, and for him, he clearly felt he needed to go and have a splash and dash, because why didn't he? The thing I do find as well, although George Angelidis went into the pits, which I still would declare that he tried to not get that final lap in there, as apparently someone went past him. He's got to do the lap anyway. He hasn't finished, so George Angelidis has got to drive around the circuit regardless on that one. But Brusnik comes over the line. He takes that victory in the Div 1, Div 2. Great job from him. Well done. That is all of your winners over the line at the moment. And we can safely say that was definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, that was a wild race top to bottom. There was plenty of good battles, plenty of good action. It was just, I mean, pedal to the metal and go. I love a Le Mans start. I absolutely love the idea of get in your cars and go and start from the pit lane, not starting, grid up or warm up lap or anything, just in and go. Now, granted, I still am mad that I didn't get a video of, Ross running to his rig from his kitchen. But
that would have been the highlight.
That would have been the highlight of the century. Yeah. But
absolutely. They all had to at least run around their house once to get to the rig or something. That just would have been amazing.
I even would have been fine with just stand beside your rig and sit down and go, but the results
were that's just boring. Right, here are the race results. Bradley Sellers is your winner with Ethan Funk in second, JT Tammy in third, Nick Kirstives fourth, Mike Bell fifth, Simon Subic sixth, Magnus Dahlgren seventh, with Tom Lane in eighth and Jason Whitehead in ninth. Jerry Chen wins the Div 3 Arms. He's in 10th overall. So great job from Jerry. On to the next page we go. Very shortly. And Dave Coors is in 11th with George Angelis in 12th. And that's your 1, 2, 3 in the Div 3 Arms. We're with the Bruin down in Dave and Barry DeMarzo. Then we go on to the Div 1 and 2s. It's Elko Brusnik, Dan Herlock and Eduardo Benica. Your 1, 2, 3 with David John just missing out. Becky Ely in 19th and Gilles Lalonde down in 20th place. Moving on into 21st is Tony McCoffin. The winner of the Div 1-2 Arms is Michael Locke in 22nd and Scar Pope 23rd. Monet and Gray round out the podium there in the Div 1-2 Arms. Oliver Day, Oliver Newman, Filippo Marazzi, Tom Mountjoy and Craig Pullen round out that top 30. Now, here we go. James Bowders, 31. Oh, just missed it. Into the DNFs. Ross Smith blew up in the pit lane. Fernando Ferreira had a big moment. John Uyan, so did he. He crashed. Oliver Oscar Dancourt down into the Mulsanne had an incident with Carl Vesser running into Indianapolis. John Meyer crashed out. Diego Castro, Alfredo Cabrera, and Matthew Overton all did that as well. Moving on. There is one more page to go, if I'm not mistaken. And here they are. Peter Meyer, DNF, Santiago Dancourt, Brian Hall, Yuki Takahashi and Reese Gowler DQ'd. Yuki jumped the start and he cleared what he thought was his drive-through, but it didn't clear. Reese Gardner forgot to turn on his headlights, and unfortunately the game DQ'd him. So, yeah, a bit of a hardship for them there once again. We'll wait for some drivers to come into the waiting room, and we can see who we can get here, who's going to come and join us, Brad.
Yeah, 31 cars out of the 45 that started. That's a wild one. JT Tammy did apologize to Craig Pullen, said, I didn't know which side of the dotted line you were going. Tom Lane, all he said was pain, and Ethan Funk just says, I'm sorry, that sucks. Only later figured out it would have been you because I saw the puff of smoke. So several drivers messing up downshifts, but you know, that's the 1964 cars. That's the thing about these cars is you didn't have any sort of electronic aids or anything with them to help you out. It was that, and that was all it was. It was if you messed up the downshift, the engine was gone, and that was all you could do.
Mm-hmm. And if you're lucky, you might, just might, be allowed to change it. But I doubt very much. So, yeah. Going to be an interesting one. We'll wait for some drivers to come down into the waiting room if anybody wants to chat with us. If not, well, we'll just sit here and chat to ourselves, I'm sure. Kim D, great race, broadcast, awesome broadcast. What a broadcast, says Paul Glover, who's here picking himself up.
I mean,
I should really learn to read names before I call out what he said there as well.
I mean, it is a good broadcast. It is a good broadcast.
It is. It's the commentators that make it. Cameras just come second, really.
I mean, people do listen to races on radios.
Exactly. And they're only commentators and they don't even see it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I know.
You know what I'm upset about, James?
What's that?
We have to wait until the 6th of July for this series to come back.
You know what I'm upset about?
What?
The fact that we have got the 4.8 on the 8th of June, and I've got 4.8 hours, if not over 5.5 hours, with Paul Glover.
Paul's not that bad. Come on now. He could be worse.
Depends if anybody's heard his singing. Here we go. We've got Jerry Chen in. Yeah, let's have a chat with Jerry Chen, your Div 3 and winner, Mr. Jerry Chen. Didn't really see much of him. He was kind of like a ninja here this evening. He went around and just did his business, and we didn't really talk about him apart from, Jerry's made an overtake, he's in the lead, and then he just kind of led after that. He went on his own little Sunday stroll around Le Mans in 1964 machinery. But Jerry, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
Good, thanks, guys. Yeah, it was. I didn't see a lot of cars, but it was pretty intense for me because I was fuel saving from lap 1. So even though I didn't have a lot, I did have a little bit of a fight with Barry at the beginning, but rest of the race I was just watching the fuel meter.
Why would you do that on lap 1? Because most people at home won't understand it. That's what I'm getting at.
Because with the long straights, you're at red line so long. Even the Ferrari, you have to save a little bit of fuel. So I was just doing a lot of short shifting, coasting into braking zones right off the bat. The mess was a little start was a little messy. I slipped a clutch a little too slow, and the entire AM field passed me. I was like, oh well, that didn't work out so well. And then everybody in front of me, I just crashed out or had problems. So, yeah.
Do you think one of the biggest things here was consistency?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's so the speeds are so high, and it's so easy to get your braking wrong. All it takes, like we saw with Barry, he just locked it up a tiny little bit, and that sent him into the berm at Arnage. So, yeah, it's very the line of where you want to push versus being conservative and consistent is very small. So, yeah, it's really tough.
Sorry, Jerry. What did you call that down in Arnage? What did you say? Into the what?
The berm? What do you call that? The little dirt pile?
Yeah, we called it the mud mound. It was a hill at one point, but apparently Paul Glover Paul corrected us with the terminology of what a hill was, and apparently it didn't match up to that. We called it a little mud mound in the end.
That's a good description of it, yeah.
Well, see what I've had to part with. Anyway, Jerry, thank you so much for joining us there, bud. We've got a long wait to the next one now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a summer break, so we got some time.
Yeah, well, let's see how you get on, mate. And congratulations on your victory. As I say, we didn't really see much of you, and I do apologise if you watch it back wondering where you are, but you just had one of them races that was just very quiet. You just sneaked into the lead, and then we didn't see you again.
No worries.
Congratulations, though, Jerry. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
No, it's a good race by everybody. I didn't see anything going wrong. Everybody was pretty good, so thanks for the broadcast, guys.
No worries, man. You take care. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right, let's start off. I'm going to go downwards, I think. I'm going to have a chat with the Div 1, Div 2 winner, Michael Locke here, who has gone about his business again. He had a great battle with Monet early on, and then it just kind of fizzled a little bit. And Mike had come over and took the win. See if I've made it sound too easy compared to what he's going to tell you. Michael, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Mate, I'm all right. I just watched a great racing, and I think at the end of the day, dude, you were another one. It's really weird because you and Jerry Chen, I call Jerry the Ninja because he just literally snuck into the lead, and then we never saw him have a battle again. And I feel somehow that your race went like that towards the last sort of hour where you just got into the lead, and we didn't see you again.
Yeah, I think I was lucky to get out quick from that Le Mans start and really uninjured, luckily. So I had a little battle there with Eric for quite a while. But then I think he actually took less fuel on the first stop. So his pit time was less. So he came out pretty close. And we battled for a while. But then last stop, I had to take a lot less fuel. So kind of helped me get a good, comfortable lead there at the end.
Yeah, it definitely was. So let me ask you something. Going down the Mulsanne, it's an insanely long straight. Now, as we know in the modern today's, there's chicanes in the middle, right? What do you think if you're driving down there on your own? Are you just sitting there going, "Oh, that was a very nice tree"? What are you thinking?
I don't know. It's almost like you don't, but you do at the same time. Like you're just thinking about fuel and who's where and what place you can get, next pit stop, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's just almost like a Sunday drive in a way, where it's just kind of just chilling. So it kind of depends. Yeah, if you're just all by yourself, it's just kind of chill for the most part.
Yeah, I don't know. I said to Brad up here in the booth, I said, I think I'd end up crashing out because I'd just lose what I'm doing and think about going shopping or what I'm going to have for dinner or something along them lines because you are at full power for so long. How difficult was it to spot your braking marker after being at full power for so long?
Really not too bad. The Div 1, 2, luckily they stopped pretty good. And there's plenty of warning, really, before that last corner after the straight. So it's not too bad. Just got to make sure you lock in. I feel like once you get past that kink is when you really have to kind of lock in. The braking is coming up.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a couple of people that probably could have learned that the braking was coming up. And I say that in the nicest possible way because there was a few in Mulsanne that did quite happily visit the off side of the circuit. So, for you to get through, you've done an absolutely stellar job there, buddy. So well done to you. Bit of a break now. We've got a bit of a break until the next one at Reims.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it. I guess until then is the VWSC Modern in a month in Le Mans as well. So looking forward to that. That'll be a good time in the meantime.
Yeah, we got 4.8 hours of that one, mate. How are you going to deal with that? Yeah. Do you have a teammate going into it first?
2 teammates, so it's going to be interesting trying to split that 3 ways. But it'll be fun.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go, bud?
Just the Storm Gang team for the mod and CMS for putting this together, and you guys for commentating, and all the everybody else on track as well. Made it a fun time. So
awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much for that one there as well. Take care, Mike. Have a good one, mate, and we'll see what you can get on at 4.8.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Right, next up, I'm going to have a chat with Elko Blusinic. I want to know if he's asleep in his rig yet after that absolute barnstorming battle with him and Dan Herlock all the way through the race. Let's see how he feels. Okay, welcome everybody. How are you getting on, mate?
Hi, yeah, thank you for having me. That was an intense race. There's a few moments where I thought I might not get back into the tow. But with Dan, we had a massive tow. Yeah, it was great. And glad to have made it to P1.
Are you glad that you made it to the end there, bud? Because there was a couple of times when I thought you and Dan were getting a little bit closer than probably what you should have done.
Well, we were basically in the same VC, so we were talking a bit around as well, and we noticed that there's some sort of bubble from the car behind, so you get pushed a bit as with the top speed if you're in the car in front. So we got surprised by it because I reached 246, I think, at one point. Whereas without tow, or without anybody around me, I do 236, so 10 kph higher, and it was massive. So once we figured that out, we tried to keep it clean and keep pushing forward because David Jun was still very close before his last pit stop. So we tried to eke that gap out. Yeah, it was very close. Very close.
It was very close, but you know, it was just great all the way through, and I think you guys had an absolute barnstorming battle. Did you think you were going to come out on it in front though? Because you know that was very difficult to maintain your concentration with Dan at times just pushing you. Was you able to keep your concentration? Did you think you were going to win?
A few points I was actually, it's a bit weird because the straight is so long, you just lose concentration, and if you don't stop on the brake early enough for the next corner, then all of a sudden you just miss a few seconds. Yeah, I never had a big issue in the corners. Every time I got my concentration back. Laughing a bit about the top speed we reached, it was insane. It was absolutely insane.
We were just talking about that with Michael as well, and I said to him, like, you know, did you going down that Mulsanne, was you thinking about what you're going to have for dinner or what you were going to do for when you finished the race? I said, because it's got to be tough, right? How did you keep yourself tuned in and ready to go for that?
Just think about the beer after the race. Have a nice cool beer and relax. No, it can be tough, but it was very enjoyable, especially with Dan and close by. I noticed during practice that if you're alone, absolutely alone on track, it gets boring, and then you just tune out, and that's when crashes happen. But with Dan so close by, you had to be focused a tiny bit, even on the long straights. Keep that pace going. So yeah, and then thinking about a beer afterwards, that's always for me.
It's always a good bit.
Yeah.
Well done, buddy, to you, and congratulations there on your class win. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go here this evening?
Ollie Newman, who had to drive in the dark for a while because his lights didn't work.
Oh, I'm surprised they kept him in then, because there was people got disqualified for that.
For other cars it worked, he just didn't see it for himself. So he was driving blindly, basically.
Oh, so for everybody else it was working and they could see his lights, but for him, he couldn't see him.
Yeah, and he did actually his fastest lap during that period as well. So that's off to that.
Well, fair play to him then. Fair play to him there as well. But Igor, thank you so much for joining us there, buddy, and look forward to seeing you at Reims.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye. And now we're going to have a chat with the man that took the overall. He was chasing down Mr. Smith until Mr. Smith got it all wrong. And then it was all in the mix with Ethan Funk and JT Tummy towards the end. But let's see how Bradley Sellers thought about his race. Brad, welcome in, buddy. Brad? What is it with people in Brad just not responding to anything I say?
Hey now, this Brad's still here.
Sorry, I didn't realise there. Bradley Sellers, can you hear me? Brad? We can't hear you, dude.
It looks like he's trying to talk.
Yeah, I just can't hear him.
There we go.
Hey! There you go, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. That was a tough race, but I enjoyed it all the same.
Oh, dude, that was intense. You know what I mean? How did you get on with that? Are you knackered now? You lost 3 stone in sweat? What's the situation?
I'm a bit tired, but mostly just from how warm it is in here at the moment. The computer pumping out so much hot air. But yeah, I'm just thrilled. It was such a good race with a lot of strategy involved and fighting.
Mm. Yeah, there was a lot involved as well. Did you think coming out, looking at the pace of Mr. Smith, though, did you think you were going to get him there?
I was more worried about Ethan and Tom. They were absolutely rapid.
Mm. And how did you feel trying to combat that one?
Say that again, sorry.
How did you get over yourself mentally to try and combat that one?
Well, I realised that I was running longer gear ratios and they had a slightly better overall race pace. So once they got past me through slipstream, I just sat behind them and I was just saving fuel. I was just going for the long game.
Well done, Brad, on that one, and congratulations on your victory in the Div Freeze and overalls, of course, and I look forward to seeing what you can do. Are you taking part in the 4.8?
Yeah, I'll be with Velta.
You're with Bruno?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome stuff. Well, Brad, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Anyone you want to chat before we let you go?
Basically, just the entire RM guys and Smile Fella with Mike. Every race we do, we're all in one big room, just keeping each other going throughout the race, like making each other laugh, and it just makes it really enjoyable.
Awesome stuff. Well, Brad, thanks so much for joining there, buddy, and we look forward to seeing what you can get on in the 4.8 at Le Mans.
Thank you very much.
Take care. There you go, Mr. Dalton. Another one done.
Man, this historic series, I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm excited to see what happens from here and where things go. Of course, we got to wait till July for the next one, but, you know, it'll be worth the wait. And, of course, there's the 4.8 in June.
4.8 hours. Brad, how are we going to cope?
I don't know. I was going to ask you that question. You're the professional here.
I'm gonna have to get like, I don't know, a separate voice channel for me and you, Brad, and put the producer in a separate one. I think that's gonna be the best call as well. But you can't hear him. He's just gone, you love it. I won't tell you the expletive in the middle. Right. Thank you so much for joining us. I think you can safely say that was just pretty insane. Don't forget to join us for the 4.8 as well we have coming up. It's going to be absolute madness as well. Don't forget to join us tomorrow as we got the Premier Endurance GT Freeze in the morning. That's a 2-hour GT Free, and then we got the OGRL Coffee Cup Season 1 Round 11 from Motorsport, and then we finish the day on IGP, and we've also got the Sim Racing for Simpletons at about 10 to 1 in the morning if you are there. But join us next time out, as we've just done Le Mans. We will be at Rims on the 6th of July. But for now, let's thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Stacey's here, Robert's here, Kim D's here, Tom Lane, everybody else who's jumped in. There's been so many messages, I couldn't catch you all. But thank you so much, and have a wonderful Sunday. I've been James Parfitt. I've been in the booth with Bradley Dolan. I've been produced and been bugged by Mr. Paul Glover. But for now, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.